Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
The Browns are 1-0. They just beat the Bengals 49-0. Adam the Bull is sick to his stomach. And welcome to the first edition of the UCSS 2023 Browns postgame show.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait. No, that's coming on September 10th when the Browns do play the Bengals. And as we all think, they're going to beat the Bengals. This will be the postgame show cast for you. Myself, Earl the Pearl, G. Bush. This is a mini unintentional test run of the postgame show, including Anthony, who's behind the glass in the producer's chair today. The only one missing, or the only one who's here today that'll be missing when we do our postgame shows is Director Steve. But we all know Director Steve's taking notes on the game. Did Nick Chubb get his 20 carries? Check. I know what to push Jay's buttons on the next day or not.
And Steve, we tried to negotiate. His weekend rate is way too high.
Yeah.
We had to renegotiate and say we can't do that.
You know,
That's a big bill to try to foot, man. That's OG Steve right there.
And we talk about running backs not getting paid.
Man,
you want to talk about directors getting paid on Sundays? Ooh. I see Steve nodding his head back there. But it is tough. But no, we have a jam-packed show to get to today, guys. Amed Rosario has been traded to the Dodgers. Was it enough of a return for the young up-and-coming shortstop? How do we feel about Noah Syndergaard and cash considerations coming back to the Cleveland Guardians? The first preseason rankings for the NBA are out. The Cavs landing in the top 10, but are they too low within the top 10? We'll get to that. And we have 3 football topics that I can't wait to dive into here, including ranking our positional rankings for the Browns, Deshaun Watson's contract and where it fits in the NFL landscape now, and something that came up on Behind the Glass last night that I know G called me McChicken when I had my point on. So I got to live a little rebuttal here. But if you had to choose between Nick Chubb or Jed Wills on who will get an extension next season, who's more likely? And then we have a new segment at the end that I think you guys are going to like. Little sports, little non-sports, but I do think we'll have fun playing along with that. And guys, we'll get into it in a sec. But first, we have Anthony Cantaspelli behind the glass. Anthony, how you doing this morning?
What's up, guys? Good morning. How you doing?
Good.
We're doing good.
I'm here today to remind you guys that you can buy memberships for $4.99, and we've got an overtime topic today that I definitely remembered, but I won't tease it until the end of the show. And you can get we have a new Mikey McNuggets emoji. Earl and I are trying to get on the emoji train. So the more members we have, the more emojis we can have. Give us an Earl our emoji. We've been waiting for it. And then without further ado, we can get into our first topic here today, Mike, while you guys rank the position groups for the Browns.
Yeah, so I was looking at the roster. We have so much stuff to get to. That's why we had to cut the intro short. We got so many topics to get to that I think could be 20, 25-minute topics. So we're going to run right into it. I was looking at the Browns roster the other day. And we've talked about who we think the most important players are, who needs to have the biggest season. But when you look at each individual group, I thought there were a couple choices to which unit you felt the best about heading into this season, which one you were the most confident, which one you think was the best. And there were some others that I didn't think we'd all think were particularly as high as some of the other ones. So I figured let's do a little rankings here and run through the list, and we have 11 categories that we can choose from. We'll go 1 to 11. We have quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive ends, defensive tackles, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, and special teams.
Boo. So we can't just do the whole defensive line?
No, 2 different groups.
Man,
2 different groups. We got to go 1 through 11 because it's very different.
Crazy.
You may feel very confident in one and not so confident in the other. So let's start. We're going to go and have a little discussion with each one. We'll go 1 to 11.
Okay.
If 2 of us agree, that'll get the spot. If we all say something different, we'll let Anthony be the tiebreaker. Does that work for you guys?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Earl Pearl, which position group on the Browns do you feel the most confident in heading into the upcoming season?
The most confidence that I have in a particular position group will probably be the Cleveland Browns offensive line. I look at the offensive line, led by, to me, Joe Bitonio. You got Wyatt Teller there. You got Ethan Poacher. You got center. We know what Jedrick Wills is, middle of the road tackle. I like the depth on the offensive line with DeJuan Jones. Huge fan of, Lord have mercy, he's sleeping, James Hudson. Huge fan of him. So, and then with the coach and Bill Callahan, I just like the unit. it's probably been the strongest, the strongest unit, but it's probably been a unit that's you can say that you trust the most, right, over the last couple of years, despite everything that the Cleveland Browns have gone through. The one thing that you know is you know that the line is going to be coached up. You know more often than not that they're going to do their job, and they still, by every category out there, rank top 5 in the NFL. So,
G, do you agree, disagree? Because I'll tell you, it won't be unanimous. They're not number one to me.
When I looked at it the first, the thing that I looked at was I just said, look, hey, I like the offensive line. I think that you know what you're going to get from them. And so if you want the safest, you say offensive line, right? Because, you know, you got all pros up there. Joe Bitonio's been great for a long period of time. Ethan Poaches was rated as one of the top, 5 centers once he got to playing. I even liked DeJuan Jones because he's a guy that I think is going to eventually take over for Jedrick Wills, who I think is the weak spot on that line. However, I did not have them at the first slot. And the reason I didn't have them at a slot at that number 1 position was looking at other groups. And once you split defensive ends apart, I had to go with D ends. Yep. Myles Garrett obviously is rated the best defensive end in the league. You get a Zadarius Smith, who is an elite pass rusher in his own right, who's done it at a high level with the Vikings. He's done it at a high level with the Packers. He's versatile. He can get after the quarterback. He's the best run defender, I believe, that they've had at that position and pass rusher next to Myles Garrett. Obo, my man, young OG Aranco, this dude, listen, he out here, he's a guy who, just think, when they signed him, we thought it was a wrap. We were like, oh, yeah, we'll take him. And then they went and got the Zadarius Smith. And now you get to use those guys in one package. I even like some of the depth they got. You know, they got the McGuire kid from Missouri. Alex Wright still on the team. Isaiah Thomas showed you something, last year, a little bit at a time. So they got some guys, pieces, and parts they can move in there. I like the defensive end room. And I think anytime you have Myles Garrett, who is probably the best defensive lineman or defensive end in the league, you got to go with that as far as the position rankings go.
I had O-line in my top 3. I had defensive ends number 1 as well. And for the same point you just made, when they signed Obo, I felt really good about that defensive end room. When they got Zadarius Smith on top of Myles Garrett and Obo, I was like, sheesh, that's 3 of, at least analytically speaking, the top individual pass rushers in the entire league on one defensive line now. So I had defensive ends first. So we will, as a unit here, defensive ends officially up at number 1. Can I start on number 2 here?
Let's go.
Go back down. I want the cornerback room. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson. We know Ward's one of the best cornerbacks in football when he's on the field. I know last year was a bit of a down year, but the potential and the productivity through the first 3 years of his career has been there. He got a $100 million contract, rates out on PFF as one of the better pass coverage guys. Martin Emerson Jr. is our guy, Earl. That's our guy now.
Yeah, that's my
dog.
And
then I think Greg Newsome, when he came on the show, he talked about not loving playing the slot last year because a lot of it's run fits and he's a cover guy. But I think Jim Schwartz and having that new system that he's going to buy into, even if there are some run fit responsibilities, is going to allow him to kind of flourish as that shifty, fluid inside back. And also remember, too, the Browns' run defense was atrocious last year. So if you're the slot corner, teams are still running the ball, as the Falcons did 12 times in a row. If I'm a slot cornerback and I have to stop the run 12 times in a row, I'm pissed at whoever my DC is. I don't think that'll be the case this year, so he's going to get a lot more opportunities to flourish in coverage from the slot. So I went with the cornerback room as number 2. And also you have A.J. Green and some other guys to fill out the back end of that position group.
So it seems like we all had the same 3, maybe offensive line, defensive ends, and the cornerback room.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the cornerback room ranking. When I look at this thing, I really think by the end of the season, we can be talking about M.J. Emerson being the best corner on the Browns. I think the dude is a playmaker. If you look at all the statistical numbers that matter for cornerbacks, he was right there in the top 10 in damn near every category. He was the highest rated defensive back on the Cleveland Browns last year. This is the dude that we seen early on in preseason last year that can get his hands on the football, know how to make plays. I think his breakout game, when you can argue, was the Tampa Bay game. You know, when he went up there and locked up Mike Evans. You have Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome kind of playing more in their natural man-to-man, typical style of play that they played in college, a style of play that they actually flourished in, right? And so under Jim Schwartz and their scheme, you're going to be able to see these three particular defensive backs really be able to make plays. And because the defensive line is really the engine that runs this thing, if the defensive line can get home, you have three bona fide playmakers. And then you talk about the depth. A.J. Green, an undrafted corner a couple years ago, who's kind of shined bright, in certain instances when he had his opportunities.
Cam
Excited
Mitchell,
to see about the rookie Cam Mitchell. We know he's a baller. We've seen some of his tape. We've seen what he's done. And so it'll be interesting to see how this room collectively can raise their level of play. I know Denzel is corner one. We've seen and heard throughout OTAs about him traveling, playing a little bit in the slot. We know that Greg Newsome talked the other day about loving this particular scheme. And I'm just looking at it, MJ Emerson is a guy that everybody is high on this year. And for all the noise about Denzel Ward, you look up and 23 is your best corner. Now you kind of got a serious lockdown on the lake going on.
And they could mix and match, too, depending on who the other team's best corners. Let's say they're playing, Seattle, for example, and DK Metcalf's the guy you got to shut down. Well, you have a guy in MJ Emerson who's 6'2", 215 pounds, who physically matches up much better with the big receivers than a guy like Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
And then you're going to play a team that has Pittsburgh, Deontay Johnson as their top guy. It's a little smaller, shiftier. Well, guess what? You got Denzel Ward, who's the perfect physical specimen to match up offense or defensively with that kind of receiver on offense. So the ability to mix and match and the versatility is why I am so high on the Browns' defensive backs, especially the cornerbacks for this upcoming season.
I would agree with y'all if not for one thing. The only problem with the defensive backs is the turnovers. I want to see more takeaways. Now, the takeaways and interceptions are not just strictly a function of the defensive back. It all depends on what coverage you're in. It also depends on, who you're guarding and where you get certain targets. If you're getting targeted or you're getting picked on a little bit. So, sometimes, deflections are just as good as interceptions. Yep. But I do want to see more takeaways, and that means more aggressive play. If we can get the front seven going and we can get the sack total we think we can get, and then you still can get guys that are, I need to see Greg Newsome get his first interception. I would like to see Martin Emerson. He had a tremendous play in the preseason.
Yep.
Where Jacksonville first played it, and I think he got the starting job just off that. It was like, oh, whoa, who's this? We like you. You got ball skills. But I would have to go back and my number two, I have to say the offensive line. I thought the offensive line and the defensive line was just a little bit different, right? But you still got Batonio, you still got Teller, you still got Poaches, you still got Conklin, all those other guys, and they have depth. For me, if you ask me who do you think will be more consistent, I would lean just a little bit more to the offensive line rather than the cornerback position. But I would just give you some foreshadowing. Corners come in third for me.
So because me and Earl both had corners, we'll put corners 2. You had offensive line 1. I had them 3. You had them 2. So I think you average that out.
Yeah.
Offensive line's 3. So we all agree, at least in the premise of the top 3,
Yep.
in some particular order.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Let's move on to number 4. Earl, what position group do you have at number 4?
Let's see. We got the defensive ends 1. We got corners 2. We got the offensive line 3.
Correct.
I'm going to go with the quarterback room.
Oh, interesting.
At number 4. And here's why, right?
Okay.
Deshaun Watson is the engine that's running that car. We know what Deshaun Watson can be and what he's capable of when all things are equal, right? We know the type of time that he has put in this offseason, studying film, learning the playbook, learning the system, and then we know that he had a huge part in constructing this entire quarterback room. And when you look at the rest of the quarterback room, you got a guy like Josh Dobbs who's very intelligent. We've seen him a lot in preseason last year. We pretty much know what he can bring to the table. Then he goes on to Tennessee, and he's able to ball out in a playoff game that Tennessee actually lost, but it wasn't because of him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Then, you get the rookie that you get out of UCLA, who's another guy who fits the playing style of everybody else that's in that room. And so when I look at this room, I see a very intelligent, athletic group and a bunch of guys that can seemingly make every throw, make some plays with their legs, and they all have this similar style of play. Now, granted, something happens to Deshaun Watson.
Well, take injuries. If Myles Garrett
Right. But if something happens to Deshaun Watson, all bets are off. However, you do feel a little bit more confident knowing that you have two other guys, especially in Dobbs with some experience last year, that can step in and you don't have to alter the offense like you did with Jacoby Brissett switching over to Deshaun Watson. The terminology will be the same. A lot of the calls, a lot of the reads will be the same. So I think that I will put the quarterback room number 4.
I'm going to go this one was actually an easy one just because of the lead dog in the room, and that's running back room.
I'm going with you, too.
Running back room. You look at it's Nick Chubb. That's all you got to understand. All you need to know is his Chubb. So if you got him, I think Jerome Ford will make a nice, serviceable running back. He has a little burst. I like him. Go back and watch his tape at Cincinnati. He had a nice preseason as well. And there's another guy that I think is going to make the team, Demetric Felton, who's going to pay dividends because now you look at what Felton was doing before. Felton could possibly make the team just by being a receiving guy, right? Yeah. So if you look at between him and Kelly, who has played pretty well in the preseason when given opportunity, he has more versatility. He could be a running back. He's on special teams. He's a gunner. He could return punts. He also can line up as a receiver. So I think, and plus now more out of shotgun, I think really he can mimic some of the stuff that Elijah Moore has been doing. When you talk about what they've been seeing in camp, and Zach Jackson talked about it, guys moving around. He's in the backfield. He's lined up in the slot. He's lined up wide. So versatility is a thing that you look for in these players, and I think they get versatility from Demetric Felton. But, at the end of the day, the bell cow is Nick Chubb. He's the best running back in the league. I think it ain't even really close. And I look at the running game, and a lot of people are going to be surprised this year. I think everybody is really excited about the passing game. But Nick Chubb is still going to be a huge part of the offense. And he might even average more yards per carry based on the fact that they're spreading people out and you can't key on certain things. So I think Chubb has a huge year, and I got the running backs coming at 4.
Full disclosure, I had quarterbacks at 5, and I had running backs at 4. So we're on the same wavelength here, and it comes down to what G said. Gun to my head, who am I more confident will have an unbelievable season, Deshaun Watson or Nick Chubb? I see a 99.9% chance Nick Chubb plays unbelievable, and I see a 95% chance that Deshaun Watson plays really good. So that was my determining factor.
Y'all wrong, though. Like, y'all wrong. I get it. Nick Chubb is the lead horse, just like Deshaun Watson is the lead horse.
Jerome Ford or Josh
I'm more
Dobbs?
confident in Josh Dobbs than I am Jerome Ford. I've seen more Josh Dobbs than I have Jerome Ford. I've seen Josh Dobbs here in Cleveland in the preseason.
Yeah.
I've seen Josh Dobbs in real live game, like trenches type playoff atmosphere type situations. I've seen Jerome Ford in the preseason
but let me
and a
ask you
couple
this.
times on kickoff returns.
Let me ask you this, though. We have seen Josh Dobbs in those situations. He played decent. He did. He certainly serviceable for a backup. You would take that from a backup quarterback every day of the week. In a world where Deshaun Watson doesn't exist and a world where Nick Chubb doesn't exist, who are you more confident can play up to the level of the guy in front of them?
It'd be Jerome Ford, but that's not the world we live in. It would be Jerome Ford.
I think for ranking these two, in that case it would be.
Okay, but even if let's go to 3, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go to DTR, and then let's go to Demetric Felton.
Let's pray we never have to actually get to that conversation.
Exactly. Either way, but
fair,
if you go either way, Felton's been in the league 2 or 3 years. DTR is a rookie. And you can honestly say they're right around the same players.
That's a wash.
And so if that's a wash, I'm going to take the rookie over the guy that's been in the league 3 years and ain't been kind of able to get it going. So, I don't think none of us is too far off, but come on, man. The quarterback is definitely going ahead of the running back.
Quarterback is the hardest position in the game, right?
Yeah.
It's the most difficult position in all the sports. And if you just say take Deshaun Watson out and you got Dobbs and whatever DTR,
I think your season's done.
It's a wrap. But if you took Nick Chubb out of the offense, right, and you still had Jerome Ford and you still had Demetric Felton, we've seen before where the Cleveland Browns can win with what?
I mean, Dearness Johnson. 100-something, 120 yards in one game he started?
Yeah, these guys, they'll plug right in and get their minutes, right, and get their money off. I think, when you look at it from a running back position, it's easier to come in and contribute as a running back than it is a quarterback. And I saw Josh Dobbs in Tennessee, and he wasn't a world beater in that game.
He was perfectly serviceable for a back.
I was about to say, what did he do wrong,
He's
though? He put Tennessee in a situation to win.
I mean, that's
all you can ask for.
That's the Jacoby Brissett.
Okay, but we're talking about quarterback being the hardest position, right?
Right.
Look what Kevin Stefanski has done with the quarterbacks prior to. So if you look at his track record, even forget the overall record of the team, but just look at how the previous quarterbacks have played under
best Baker ever played.
Best Baker he's ever played. Best Brissett you ever played.
And even
hopefully
Kirk
you get
back in Minnesota.
Hopefully you get the best Deshaun Watson that you ever got. And so if you have a situation for whatever reason you got to go to Dobbs or you just got to go to Dobbs, you take the experience he gained last year plus knowing what Kevin Stefanski can do. I just think that's what gives them the edge as well.
I got a question real quick, and I don't remember. You guys have to correct me. Dobbs was here last preseason, and they cut him mid-season, right?
No, he got claimed off a practice squad, I think. He didn't get cut. I think they claimed him off the practice squad.
How did he end up in Tennessee?
Don't quote me on this. I think he got cut when Deshaun Watson came back.
Anthony, we looked that up to see how.
I think he was Brissett's backup until Watson came back.
And they didn't want to carry 3.
Yeah.
They ended up signing. So they did. So I don't know. I mean, obviously you had to make room for Deshaun Watson. But to cut a guy, and this is not a knock on Dobbs. I mean, we're arguing semantics now. I had quarterbacks at 5, running backs at 4. Did you have running backs at 5?
Yeah, I had running backs at 5.
So we're flipping over one spot here.
Tomato.
But I think we're at the point, and we can all agree on this. Nick Chubb, elite. Deshaun Watson should be elite. Mm-hmm. And as long as they have those 2 guys healthy, the Browns' offense, regardless of who else is there,
we straight.
Should be pretty damn good. All right, moving on. So we'll put running backs at 4 because we had 2 on that. And do you agree quarterbacks 5 then? 1 under. Are you cool with that, G? Because me and Earl already voted for that.
I'm sitting here thinking.
Because I'm ready to go to 6 when you guys are.
You putting QBs at 5 here?
QBs as long as G. I mean, yeah, actually, because me and Earl already voted for it. So.
Yeah, I would say that. I have them a little bit above this next group of people that I'm going to choose. So go ahead.
All right, so I'll start with 6. And this is where I think it starts to get a little spicy. I feel like this is where we're going to start deviating.
Let's go.
I have the safeties at 6. I think Grant Delpit's in for a breakout season. He fits the exact mold of a safety that Jim Schwartz has turned into not just a Pro Bowl, but all-pro kind of players. Stick your foot in the ground, go make plays, because now you have a guy in Juan Thornhill next to you who I'm not going to say is going to make up for your mistakes, but is a ball hawk in the secondary who can be more of the coverage guy while Grant Delpit becomes the impact play, make it happen, light dudes up, force fumbles, create turnovers guy in the box and in the secondary and coverage. We saw a lot of progression from him from the beginning of last season to the end. That was with Joe Woods. I'm taking everyone on this defense and saying just by the addition of Jim Schwartz, they're taking at least 1 to 1.5 steps up. And I actually think between those 2 and Rodney McLeod, who's played in Jim Schwartz's defense, who is the savvy veteran who comes with a wealth of winning experience, I actually feel really confident in the entire Browns secondary. Cornerback's a little more than the safety just because of the caliber of players. But I am really high on those 2 safeties and really those 3 safeties as we enter the upcoming season.
This was close for me. I could see where you went safety. Juan Thornhill is an upgrade to me over John Johnson. I think when you bring in guys like that, you really solidify what you want to do, and I don't think you'll have that many busted assignments. With that being said,
I had question marks on other groups that I didn't have with the safeties, which is why they may not be the most talented of the groups left, but I put them higher. So I'm curious to see where you're going with this.
Just because of this person who's the number 1 dude in the room.
I know what you're doing. See?
Got to go receiver.
I know what you're doing here.
And here's the crazy part. This is an oxymoron. I'm putting the receivers there, but I'm still the most apprehensive about the receivers.
It's fair.
At the same time, because I could look at it and say, okay, I got Amari Cooper right here. He had one of his best years he's ever had with a Jacoby Brissett. We feel like that's going to get better. Donovan Peoples-Jones is coming off his best year, right? You got Elijah Moore, who is a guy who everyone raves about at practice. Mm-hmm. Elijah Moore's killing the game. They're moving them all around. And you got those 3 guys, which I think are very dependable. However, what still makes the receiving core a big question mark is the rest of the dudes. Cedric Tillman, I don't even know what he is. He's a rookie. I can't count it. Marquise Goodwin, I don't even know he's going to play this year. Shout out to him. Hope he gets better.
Schwartz is practicing today for the first time.
Schwartz is practicing for the first time since 2019. Clap it up. Listen. I haven't seen you play since Gus Malzahn was at Auburn. You know what I'm saying? And you was the rocket kick returner. All they did, like,
he got 4 reverses a game.
4 reverses a game.
He took one of the house against A&M.
Yeah, twice. Did he take almost 2? Like
almost, but he ran right at me. I was on the sideline for that game, and he celebrates right in the camera, and I was like, this dude's good. And then I get here, and I'm like,
that's that same kid.
I was wrong.
We missed that. And so I don't know nothing about him. David Bell is David. Let me say that stride. David Bell. David Bell is a wide receiver, but really in his heart of heart, he's a tight end. Like
what?
You're gonna steal the O-line from Kelvin Bay. He's one biscuit away from being a tight end.
Yeah. But he can eat all the food he wants. He's still not gonna get bigger, but he's still a tight end. He has tight end mobility, tight end hands, tight end juke ability. He's just slow overall. Like, and I just told y'all he's not that good. Now we're gonna see. He got opportunity. Maybe he could be a possession guy. But the rest of the roster, I have no clue. But just because your top 3 are good, I would have to say I would go with the receivers.
All right, so I'm with G on this. I got the receivers above the safeties. We know what Amari Cooper is, man. Dude is about 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns every year. A lot of people believe, at least from the fantasy football standpoint, that he's probably going to have the best season of his career. I know he's kind of out for the next couple of days. I know Kevin Stefanski talked to the media this morning, so he's still not practicing. Again, not really worried about Amari long term. As long as he's out there, I'm overly confident in what he can do. I felt like last year was DPJ's ceiling, and if his ceiling is somewhere around 700 yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns, sign me up for that. I think Elijah Moore, when he came out of the draft into the NFL, there were a lot of expectations of this dude just being an all-out playmaker. Here's a dude who can play inside, outside. You can put him in the backfield. I see the Browns using Elijah Moore a lot like San Francisco used Deebo Samuels. So I think that's a bonus. You know, you did a lot of footwork on Cedric Tillman. We know like Jalen Wyatt was the big name talked about, but before Tillman got hurt, he was the man at Tennessee. You got a guy that has a first-round talent that slipped a little bit, maybe due to injuries, maybe due to some other things. And even though he is a rookie, you've seen a lot during OTAs. You've seen a lot during a lot of the off-season programs that he's built some chemistry with Deshaun Watson already. You haven't heard anything about him putting the ball on the ground or anything like that, or not being able to run his routes correctly. So that's encouraging to hear. I read Mary Kay Cabot's reports this morning, and there's a lot of talk coming out of the Greenbrier right now about David Bell being actually impressive. You know, due to the injuries to Marquise Goodwin and Amari Cooper not being there, he's getting more reps. And the beautiful thing about it is he's taking advantage of those reps, right? And then, you know, you got a lot of other young guys that's in that room that has showed some flashes of some things. And then we got to keep in mind that when you talk about an elite quarterback or a guy that should be elite, like Deshaun Watson, is going to elevate that entire group. So when I look at the wide receiver group and then I heard Deshaun Watson and read his body language as far as, you know, him speaking highly of the position group and seeming like that he had confidence in what they're able to do, I think that raises everything. So that's why I got the wide receivers above the safeties.
So I had receivers at 7. So once again, we're flip-flopping. And the reason I had them at 7 was I just think there are some question marks in the group that I didn't have with the safeties. It's early in camp. It's July. I get it. But Amari Cooper is coming off a season where he had core surgery following the year, and now a minor tweak's keeping him out 5 to 7 days. I understand it's July. I've talked to some people down in Greenbrier. They said they're just being extra cautious. But, you know, a minor tweak could sometimes be the ball rolling on something more serious.
A minor tweak is never minor.
And I'm just a little bit worried that he may be dealing with some health issues. He's getting older. He's going to turn 30. Or is he 29 turning 30 or 28 turning 29 this year?
Says the guy that's 30. You feel like you old?
Let me see.
No, but my body doesn't feel the same after I play basketball as it did when I was 22. I'll tell you that. So I'm not worried about Amari. I think he's going to be very productive this year. Mm-hmm. But that is a little bit of I have like a 2% concern level that a minor tweak's keeping a guy out of camp now for 5 to 7 days. I know it's July. I'm not like panicking. I'm just someone to keep an eye on. Elijah Moore, I think he's going to be really good. We just haven't seen it yet. I think he's going to be good. DPJ, solid dude. Tillman, question. David Bell, question. Remember last year the reports were David Bell didn't drop a single pass all camp. then he played like 4 snaps a game. So sometimes camp reviews don't equal
Hey, man.
actual on-field. There's just a little more question marks in the receiver room than I had at safety, which is why I went safety 6, receiver 7. But once again, we're splitting hairs here on something that I think are pretty equal.
I can understand that. You look at Juan Thornhill, man. He brings that winning pedigree, right? He brings that dog. He brings that ability to make plays. I'm a big fan of Grant Delpit. I think Grant Delpit
really good.
Might be like one of those breakout players this year, one of those playmaker dudes that might actually score about 2 or 3 touchdowns this season by himself.
Who has more touchdowns this year, David Bell, or Grant Delpit?
I'm gonna go with David Bell.
That's so disrespectful.
I'm gonna go with David Bell.
The fact that
he even asked that question, that's
so
foul.
Well, you said 2 or 3 for Delpit, and
I'm
Bell
just
had
saying.
none last year.
I'm just saying, but when I look
There
at
you
it,
go.
I also like the addition of Rodney McLeod, man, somebody who's very familiar with Jim Shorts. But outside of that, I just feel like the wide receiver room has more familiar depth
Totally fair.
than with the safety
Totally fair.
room.
With that being said, they need one more, man. When I go to sleep at night, you know
You
what
still
I'm saying?
think they need another one?
The speed factor, when you look at Deshaun Watson when he was at his best, he had Will Fuller, speed guy. Brandon Cooks, speed guy.
That's real.
Guys, he throws a beautiful deep ball.
Yeah.
But you need guys to run up underneath it. And I commend the Browns for trying to do that. They thought they had that. And Marquise Goodwin, he showed he could do it in OTAs with catching a couple long passes from him. But now you have him, and now you got Anthony Schwartz trying to come back and see if he can actually catch the football. But to me, when I go to sleep at night, the speed factor keeps me up because for this offense to reach, I would say, the pinnacle of what they are, in my mind, the offense that's the most dangerous is the one that can threaten you at every level. I got a guy that can be going deep every play. I got a guy that's a route runner. I got that in Mark Cooper. I got a guy that is a change of pace, quick in open space, Elijah Moore.
Yep.
I got a running back that just give me 6 a pop. I got an offensive line that can move guys and pass block, and I got Deshaun Watson.
It's the one element
It's the
missing.
one thing missing. It's like you taste that drink, and you be like, listen, I want a mixed drink. And you be at home making Harry Buffalo back in the day. And you be like,
I mean, I think we'll get an opportunity to really see what it was. You know, Andrew Berry talked about you have the team that you put together in the spring, and that's the team that you bring to camp. And you get the opportunity to really analyze that squad.
See what's
and
missing.
See what's missing, see what works, see what's don't. I do agree, you know, that speed element not being there, that's real. You know, we heard Ross Tucker talk about it. You know, we heard Zach Jackson talk about it. Like, Marquise Goodwin not being there is going to have an impact because clearly he was a bigger part of what the Browns was doing than even we all thought. Yeah. You know, we thought he was like a rotational guy, but clearly they got major plans for him. And so if he's not able to play due to his serious health issues, then you do need to like probably research how can you get another guy that fits what he was going to do. And I think as we go through preseason, I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns actually traded for a wide receiver.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
I would actually advocate doing that.
Yeah.
See what you got. See one last time if Schwartz can be that guy. See if you got another dude that happens to pop up somewhere. But if you get to that last preseason game and everybody's on a 93-man roster and then they cut them at once, look around the league and see who you can get.
Yeah.
And the Browns have a plethora of talent at certain positions that other teams covet, like defensive end. They can't keep them all.
Yeah.
Potentially at cornerback. They got a bunch of really good corners that maybe you could swap. In my notes is when I had, if Goodwin was healthy, I'd have them above safeties. With Goodwin's uncertainty, that's why I put safeties at 6, receivers at 7. But you guys outvoted me, so receivers are 6.
I had safeties.
You had safeties at 7.
I had
so
safeties
safeties at 7. At 8, I had the special teams group,
Okay.
which I think is a little high as I'm looking back on it. But I really liked Ford as a kick returner. I really liked Jakeem Grant as a punt returner. I think he'll be healthy enough to give you that return factor. And I'm banking on Cade York taking a big step forward. And maybe that's a little bit of my lack of confidence in David Njoku, which is why I had them over tight end. But I think the special teams unit and what Bubba Ventrone brings to that group will elevate everybody to a level where it's going to be a pretty good special teams unit.
I went with tight end. I think Jordan Akins is a guy that is going to be able to make some plays. I think Harrison Bryant is a guy who is going to be a trade target. I think he's the guy that you package with a pick to go get another wide receiver.
Smart.
So I think just by default, he's a dude that that people will like around the league. And David Njoku, who and that's the thing that we got to understand. They're expecting one of the biggest X factors in this entire offense is this: does David Njoku play like a top 5 tight end?
Yeah.
And if he plays like a top 5 tight end, that opens up everything. That just at that
You can't
point,
stop them if they have if they have Njoku playing at that level. There's no way you could physically stop the run game, all the weapons on the outside, and cover the middle with Njoku if he's playing up to the level you think he can be, and Deshaun Watson.
Jason said this yesterday. Do you all believe it that the Browns might only keep 2 tight ends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be Akins over Bryant.
I think it's hard to I think you all are right. It's just hard for me to fathom
Kevin Stefanski doing that?
Kevin Stefanski only
Yeah.
keeping 2 tight ends.
But look, and this is the best problem to have. Look at the talent that they have at certain positions that you're going to have to sacrifice Harrison Bryant for. And I
Right.
know it's weird because Stefanski, I don't want to say he's a tight end fetish, but the dude loves his tight end.
Right.
Let's be honest. The guy loves his tight ends. No pun intended. But
Yeah.
dude is
Yeah, there you go.
very big in the
There you
football
go.
position. I saw
Good
it.
catch.
I saw it. Yeah.
I was over there like,
Pause was coming.
But,
it was
like-
coming.
You may have to keep an extra defensive end. Like, are you going to keep Isaiah Thomas or Harrison Bryant? Or, like, Alex Wright? Those are the decisions that are going to have to come down to when it makes the 53-man roster.
you know,
And it's a good problem to have.
No, it
You're
really,
you're
really
cutting
is.
someone good because you have so much talent.
does this scare you a little bit? Like,
Everything scares me, dude.
so when it comes to Stefanski, this popped in my head when you talk about the playbook. When you look at other good teams, other good coordinators, and with weapons, like, doesn't it seem like those teams, like if you play for the Dolphins, 2 people getting the ball. That's all we throwing to, because we gonna make sure we accent those guys. If you play Kansas City, Kelsey about to get the ball, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have a spreadonomics.com offense, these guys will do dink and dunk. I'm going to throw the ball, spreadonomics. Here's Bell for 2 yards. Here's Njoku. Amari Cooper catches. That's cute. But is there something the Cleveland Browns can go to that's the bread and butter and say, I got this guy and I'm about to wear you out with him? I see that all over the league.
Chubb.
All right, so can I let me try to defend that real quick, because Kevin Stefanski know how to scheme somebody open.
Very
There's been guys. I get the dink and duck, and you're right about that. But go back, watch the all 22, and watch some of those plays where the quarterback is making the choice for that 4-yard dink, and you got a guy who ran the proper route who's open 15 yards down the field. So I think Kevin Stefanski does a great job of scheming up routes that can get guys open further down the field. It's just a matter of the quarterbacks in the past, and some of Deshaun Watson too, not making the right decision at the right time to hit the guy that's open down the field.
I don't think it's fully fair to evaluate Kevin Stefanski on anything we've seen so far.
I agree with that.
I don't think it's fair in the 11 games with Jacoby Brissett last year, even though it was Brissett's best 11. He doesn't have that extend the field, push the ball down mentality as a quarterback. He is a game manager by nature. Let's not turn the ball over. Baker, even at his peak, was a gunslinger. And you guys were here and I wasn't at the time, but
He still turned the ball over.
he turned the ball over, and I think Stefanski had to reel him in and say, hey, these interceptions are killing us more than any one individual great play. You got to be a little more cautious. And at the end of his tenure in Cleveland, he was second-guessing making some of those tougher downfield throws because he was so scared to make a mistake. With Deshaun Watson, we know his arm talent is incredible, off the charts. He has the ability to make every single throw on the football field, and I think Stefanski finally has a quarterback now that will unlock all the creativity, offensive guru genius, maestro-ness inside his brain to find guys, not necessarily in that like 6 to 9, 6 to 11 yard range, but in that 11 to 19, 11 to 25. Not necessarily deep balls, but that intermediate deep game passing that we just haven't seen in Cleveland in at least the last 3.5 years.
Listen, we've talked about this ad nauseum almost, right? When you have Baker Mayfield here, the facts are the facts. Baker had a great rookie season. Kudos to him. It was downhill from there. But Kevin Stefanski did a great job of hiding what he didn't do well
Fact.
and exposing what he did do well.
Fact.
You turn around and then you got Jacoby Brissett, and he does the same thing. A quarterback that's limited in a lot of different areas, but let me hide where you're weak at and expose where your strengths are to put you in position to have success. We heard Deshaun Watson say 2 days ago, the entire playbook is open to me. And I think that's something that Kevin Stefanski has always envisioned once he took this job. I believe once he took this job, he had probably 5 to 10 pages of the playbook that he knew he had to keep on ice because he didn't have the proper quarterback to run some of the plays. And so when we talk about 13 personnel or this package and that package, we have to understand that there's a whole nother level of this that he's been waiting to unlock, it seems like, since he's gotten here. Yeah. You know, I think that he thought that year 2 of Baker, he would have had a more opportune time to do so, but Baker didn't take the offseason seriously. And when he didn't take it seriously, he couldn't grow. Again, Jacoby Brissett is what Jacoby Brissett is. But looking at Deshaun Watson and knowing that he has the capability to make every throw, to know that he's a quarterback that knows how to read defense, and then to know finally that, yeah, he's getting plays, but Kevin Stefanski is giving him the freedom to change the play and get the Browns in the right situation. I think that you're going to see this marriage between Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski blossom, and I think that Kevin Stefanski is going to get back to earning some of the respect that he should have as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I'm excited for year 4, Kevin.
I know we got to move on. We got a lot left. So did you go tight ends at 8 there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we had tight ends at 8. What did you guys have at 9? Special teams is my vote at 9. We're gonna run through these real quick.
I would go with.
We have special teams, D tackle.
I would go with D tackles.
Earl. Special teams, D tackle, linebackers.
Special teams, linebackers, D tackles.
I got D tackles, special teams, linebackers.
I got special teams, D tackles, linebackers. So officially, and then we'll toss it to Anthony. Our order went defensive ends, cornerbacks, offensive line, running back, quarterback, receiver, safety, tight end, special teams, defensive tackles, and linebackers.
Well, that was a great wrap-up, guys. Appreciate it. And then I just want to take a minute to remind everybody that we're almost to 25,000 subscribers, and that's a huge milestone for us. We've been around a little bit over a year, and we love the support that you guys give to us. And as we get ready for our next topic here, I just want to say thank you. In our next topic, you guys can take it away. We're going to be talking about Deshaun Watson's contract in comparison to some of the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, the news came out the other day that Justin Herbert signed a new 5-year, $262 million extension. $218 million of that is guaranteed, and Earl tweeted it out, and it started a discussion. We did a little bit of this on Behind the Glass last night, but Deshaun Watson signed the fully guaranteed $230 million contract with the Browns. He is now the 7th highest paid quarterback in terms of overall money, still number 1 in terms of guaranteed money. We weren't sure if when Deshaun signed that contract, it would change the way quarterbacks in totality got contracts moving forward. Since then, it has not changed. It is still the only non-guaranteed. So with Joe Burrow on the horizon with a contract extension, with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, now the 9th highest paid quarterback in football, do you think we're ever will see another fully guaranteed quarterback contract again? Or do we just see the continued money go up without it being 100% fully guaranteed?
Well, I think you'll see it if the quarterback wants it. Patrick Mahomes can get any contract he wants. But it's not the fact that they won't give it to him. It's the fact that he wants to still have some money left over to make the roster around him better. So, any of these quarterbacks, and this is what people don't get, any of these quarterbacks, Justin Herbert could have said, I want it guaranteed. Joe Burrow could say, I want it guaranteed. Patrick Mahomes could say that. And just guess what? They would give it to him. For me, I think the question is, and when this deal happened, I asked myself, when are people going to shut up about that? We y'all going to see, sometimes people say stuff and they just get fixated on it because the national media just say it over and over and over and over and over. And you be like, yeah, 238, 230. And you like, bro, but what does that really matter? Because if in the scheme of things, what quarterback has ever not got his money guaranteed? Name me one elite quarterback that got a bunch of money and then they cut him in his prime. It's never happened. Yeah. Quarterbacks don't get cut. They'll figure a way to trade you. But so when you look at the cap number, it's fully guaranteed. Well, listen, bro, all of them are basically fully guaranteed as a quarterback because once you get to that standpoint of you making that much money, you're good and you don't change teams. The Browns paid him a premium for someone opening up on the market. And a lot of times consumers don't understand this. If I'm in a pinch and I need a car today, and I got to go to work, does that mean I'm going to take time to go through 95 car lots? No. I don't have time to be looking for the best bargain because I'm in a pinch. So I may have to pay an extra 2%, 3%, 4% to get a car that I may not really love, or I may not, but it's a necessity. Quarterback is a necessity. So when you look at 238, that number doesn't even really matter. I think that's been a scapegoat of the people. One or two things, right? You either don't like the allegations he has, so you use 238. You think you used to like Baker Mayfield, you kept rooting for him, you're still deep down a Baker bro, so you don't like the 238. And then the third one is, I don't even know if I like Deshaun Watson. I don't know if his style of play is for me. All these different things. All these come into one. Now you can say, well, I don't like the Browns, or I don't like Deshaun Watson because he's rocking the boat. No, you just either a Baker bro, or you don't think you deserve the money, or don't like the allegations. At the end of the day, that's the big to-do about the 238, because in the scheme of things, he's not even getting paid higher than the rest of these dudes.
I mean, literally, that's what I told McNuggets during the Behind the Glass podcast yesterday. It's not about the $230 million guaranteed, G. It's just simply people do not like Deshaun Watson.
Right, yep.
You know, and I can understand the allegations, right? And I can understand that everything that comes with that. And everybody has a right to feel how they want to feel, right? If you want to judge this man, if you want to have this opinion of him, fine, whatever.
But just say it.
Just say it, right? It's not about the $230 million. It's about you not liking him. And like I said yesterday, some people have made up their mind that they're never going to like him, that no matter what happens, you can't change that. But I think when I look at Andrew Berry, Jimmy, and D. Haslam, I got to give them the respect. Why? Because there's an emotional side to everything that happened with Deshaun Watson, but then there's a professional business side of things. And once they knew that this man was not finna get indicted, he was not about to get charged, meaning he was not finna go to prison, then they had to go get their quarterback. 25-year-old elite quarterbacks do not come available all the time. And so, yeah, they understood the backlash that would come with the emotions tied to the situations that he was tied to. But when you look on the professional side of things, this is an organization that's been starved of a franchise quarterback since Bernie Kosar. And if you got an owner like Jimmy Haslam who's willing to do whatever it takes to win, then I think that's something that fans should applaud. That's something that you should appreciate, that you got an owner that's willing to foot a $230 million bill just for the opportunity to bring this city a championship. And I think if people change their perspective and change how they thought about it, maybe they would appreciate it more. Nobody's saying that you got to like Deshaun Watson, the man. You don't even know the man. So, of course, how you don't like somebody you don't know. But if you're a fan of the Cleveland Browns and you understand what his level of football play can bring to your organization and the opportunities that come with it, then you got to respect your owner going out there and do it. Now, to answer your question, do I think a quarterback will get more fully guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson? No. I think the days of quarterbacks really caring about the fully guaranteed point, it seems to have shifted. And it's funny because we wasn't having this conversation 2 years ago. It was all about how much money you can get guaranteed. But you look at it now and you see a lot of these guys, okay, how much could I rake in annually? And everybody got their own reason for how they want their contract structured a certain way. I think that Burrow might end up somewhere between 222, but I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the guy that's at the right place at the right time if he continues to ball out that might surpass that $230 million mark.
Couple things. One, it is the anomaly, and that's not a bad thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with being the oddity if it was still a good deal. I have no issue with them guaranteeing $230 million to Deshaun Watson if that's what it took to get Deshaun Watson. At the end of the day, the Browns have a franchise quarterback today. They did not have a franchise quarterback before Deshaun Watson, and you can make all the pleas and bargains you want about Baker Mayfield potentially being that guy, but I just don't believe it. I don't think Baker Mayfield was ever good enough to lead a team to a championship. I said it on the show last night. If we were starting a new YouTube channel, if we were going to branch off and we needed G. Bush, and G. Bush said, I will only work for you guys if you give me X, Y, and Z. And we knew we needed G. Bush to make that product exactly how we envisioned it. Guess what? G. Bush is getting X, Y, and Z. And I'm not thinking twice about it. So if they had to pay $230 million and they had to make it fully guaranteed in order to get Deshaun Watson to agree to come to Cleveland, who gives a crap? They got him. Like, who cares? And I'm never going to, in all sports, and Jaylen Brown happened yesterday, I may think it's a crazy contract, but good for you, Jaylen Brown. And for Deshaun Watson, good for you. And Justin Herbert, good for you. You are worth as much as someone's willing to pay you. If that's $304 million, that's $230. If it's $262, you are worth what the market says you can get. Go get the bag. And anyone who ever tells these dudes that they should take a pay cut or take less, ask yourself, would you do that? Would you?
It's un-American. Like I don't, yeah, like we stand on cap. That's why I always joke. I said, man, y'all love to say capitalism, right? Y'all love to say free market. Y'all love to say no regulations. Y'all love that. That is, you stand on it. I don't want the government telling me what I can do. I don't want regulations. I don't want taxes. I want to be able to run my business and do what I want to. Okay, well, they running their business, doing what they want to. The thing is, why you mad that they're getting all this money? Because here's the thing. No one says this. You think they're rich. Think about how rich the people is that pay these guys. All of them.
Now, if it does not work like this, but in a world where taxpayer money funded the contracts, then I could see people getting upset about certain guys making a certain amount of money. But it's coming out of the Haslam's pocket. It's coming out of the Boston Celtics owner's pockets. It's coming out of the guy, and I don't know who owns the Chargers, but it's coming out of their pockets. Like, why do I care if they want to spend a certain amount of money to acquire a player that's going to help them win a championship, and they're never going to be considered winners or successes unless they have a damn championship? You have to spend to win. When has a team in any sport won a championship with a payroll in the bottom 10%?
My man upset because he's absolutely right, and we talk about this all the time. It pisses me off to see and hear other people say, well, this person is overpaid, that person underpaid. Like, I don't know where y'all come from, but you don't go around counting other people's pockets. You don't go around tapping on other people's pockets, worry about how much money they got and how they footing the bills that they have, especially if you're not the person that's paying that bill. If you a fan, sit back and be a fan. Jimmy Haslam is not knocking on your door saying, hey, let me get $1 million to go towards this contract. Let this man do what he do. And it's up to Andrew Berry to manage the salary cap that's given to him. He's entrusted with that job, so let them do their job. When somebody says this person is not worth this or this person shouldn't be paid like that, I think it's highly disrespectful, because take the title athlete off, right? Anybody in their profession, male, female, any race or creed, right? You want to be paid swell. And somebody paying you a high salary is a sign of respect of you and the work that you put out there. So when you out there saying this person shouldn't be paid this, check yourself. What if somebody at your job was telling you you shouldn't be making the money that you was making?
Even really quickly, like, always remember this. With big companies, y'all got to wake up a little bit. Like, when big companies fail and they're deemed too big to fail, the government takes your tax dollars and they bail them out. And then they take those profits from the bailout and tuck them in. So when the company does bad, they socialize the downside. But when the company does good, they privatize the revenue. So you're going to pay for them with higher taxes and your tax dollars. And at the same time, they're going to keep all of the profits that they have if they're doing good and never distribute those in benefits, distribute in higher wages, distribute it in better medical coverage, PTO, none of that. They just take it, buy back their stocks, and get $90 million bonuses. So here's the thing. Don't think you're doing these guys a favor, because at the end of the day, we'll never probably see that level. But y'all got to always think, look, bro, if this is football, and they do it in real life, understand the way the economics really, truly work.
I want to make one more point, then we'll toss to Anthony for a fast read. I do think it's fair when you look at guys, especially in free agency, when they sign an exuberant contract, to be like, and I think it was a little bit of overpay. Like, I don't think the production from said players equal to X amount of money. And you can do it without being disrespectful, because you're having a conversation. There's only so much funds to go around. But I also think, from a team perspective, if you think that's the right guy to take you to the next level, then so be it. Like, I look at the Rockets, for example, and, like, I know basketball, football different. They gave Dylan Brooks 4 years, $80 million. I don't think Dylan Brooks, the player, is a $20 million player, but good for him. You know what I'm saying? Like good for him for getting the bag. If the Rockets think that's the kind of player they needed to bring in, sure. I think you could got more bang for your buck elsewhere. But it's not because I don't like Dylan. Well, I don't particularly love Dylan Brooks. He might have been the bad example. Fred VanVleet, he got do I think that 3 years, $140 million with Fred VanVleet is the smartest use of $140 million on the basketball court? No. Is that a knock on Fred VanVleet? No. So I just want to put. I think sometimes when we look at contracts, it's okay to be like, I think that may have been a little bit of an overpay, but
you can critique that with anybody. I'm gonna say just about anybody except for Patrick Mahomes, right? We talked about this yesterday. You know, Justin Herbert got $218 million fully guaranteed.
Yep.
You can argue that he's never won a playoff game, that his team has never won a division championship, but you can also look on the flip side of it. In his first 3 years in the NFL, he's in the top three.
Division with Patrick
you know what
Mahomes,
I mean?
yeah.
While playing in the same division with Patrick Mahomes, he's in the top three in damn near every passing category. And so, like, yeah, everybody is entitled to their opinion. But for me, you know how I am. There's a human aspect to everything I say when we talk in sports. You don't want nobody counting your pockets. Stop counting other people's pockets.
I want everyone to get paid. I want to get paid myself. I just may disagree sometimes with the allocation.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's how I grew up, whatever the case, man. But I don't talk about another man's money. I keep my eyes on my own.
Wait till you're on the panel for free agency, and then we'll see how it goes. Anthony, what's up?
Yeah, guys, so our community poll today is on this topic, and whenever we do a community poll, it's brought to you by PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio, and all locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, you can get a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So our poll today, guys, is will Joe Burrow sign for more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson? And out of 866 votes, 59% said yes, 41% said no. Thoughts?
We'll do it real quick because I know we got to move on, but the next guy gets paid the most. And Herbert got close with 218. If it's not Burrow, it'll be Lawrence. Someone's going to get more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
It's just the way economics and football works. And frankly, it also could be Patrick Mahomes because I know he just signed that 10-year deal, but he's now 9th. In terms of the highest paid annual salary.
He win another Super Bowl. He getting a new deal this offseason.
Actually, be truthful, he can go in anytime.
He can go get a new deal right now.
He can go tomorrow, yeah.
He got a clause. Listen, I must be the all-time highest paid quarterback while I'm playing immediately.
And no matter who signs the next one, I gotta jump.
I'm jumping.
That'd be interesting. Speaking of contract extensions, we'll get to 32 for 32 in 1 sec. But I do want to do this. We talked about it on the show last night. G, you were chiming in. You called me McChicken on my take on this. And then Earl said something that sparked a thought in my head. We were talking about who's more likely to get a contract extension or who should get an extension after this upcoming season, Jedrick Wills or Nick Chubb? And you guys both said Chubb. I said it's more likely that it's Wills. Real quick, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this. Mm-hmm. But, Earl, you brought up the point that people arguing for Wills reminded you of people arguing for Baker.
Yeah.
As in, we know he's not that good, and we're scared to make a change. Do you want to elaborate before I make a
counterpoint? Yeah, because somebody had said,
thought in my head that
somebody had said something to me about that yesterday. I was like, it's a bad comparison. I'm only talking about from the fan perspective and how they talk about this, right?
Why is that a bad comparison?
I don't know because people,
actually it's a good comparison.
Listen, people got their opinion. I don't get mad at people who disagree. That's why the world is the way it is. We're not supposed to agree.
That's why we have a show.
Exactly.
If you agree with everything we said, no one will watch.
But Jedrick Wills is a middle of the road left tackle, right? We can all agree about that. He's not the worst thing that you've ever seen. He's not the best thing you've ever seen. He's average.
He's vanilla.
And you can get by with average as long as the rest of the parts is moving in the right direction. That's the same thing that we said about Baker Mayfield. Yeah, we know Baker Mayfield is not the best quarterback in the NFL, but he's not the worst that we've seen, especially in Cleveland. And when you have a rookie year like that, now you're convincing yourself mentally, you know what? I can get by with this average quarterback. I can get by with this average piece on my roster. And I think that sometimes fans are afraid of what's on the other side of average, you know, because you can realistically go in the wrong direction and end up with a player that's much worse. But you can roll the dice and you can end up with a player that's much better as well. And I think that sometimes, man, we get a little complacent with average, right? We get a little complacent with just being good enough. And I don't know if it's because of people of being afraid to roll the dice or because the Browns have had so little success that the fact that you see somebody that's just okay, it makes it good enough for you. And so when I hear these conversations about why the Browns should keep Jedrick Wills versus moving on, it just sounds it's a lot of similar talking points on why people thought we should keep Baker Mayfield.
So you said that yesterday, and I was like, that's a really good point. It makes sense. And what led to that conversation was me saying I think Wills is somewhere in that 15 to 20 range in left tackles, and we don't know what DeJuan Jones is yet. He's a rookie, unproven. He may be better. He may be worse. And I just don't feel confident in having a guy who may be worse at arguably the second most important position in football. And it got me thinking. When you make a move from average, you just don't know what you're getting, right? The Browns moved on from Baker Mayfield. They got Deshaun Watson. Despite what we saw last year, we all agree it's a significant upgrade, right? Let's go back.
I agree with that.
Let's go back to 2018. Jed Wills is the Kirk Cousins of left tackles. The Washington Commanders were like, Kirk Cousins, you want a lot of money. You're okay. We know you're not great, but we think we can do better. Do you know how many different guys have started the game for the Commanders since 2018? How about this list of superstars? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Smith, Josh Johnson, Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez, Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, R.I.P., Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Garrett Gilbert, Carson Wentz, and Sam Howell. They're in quarterback hell. And what scares me about potentially moving on from Wills, despite the fact that I know at best he's a top 15 to 20 left tackle, is if you have a terrible left tackle or a bottom 10 guy, as Ross Tucker put, your most important person on the field is Deshaun Watson. The guy in that spot at left tackle is protecting his blind side. Mm-hmm. If you lose Watson, nothing else matters. You lose your quarterback.
Absolutely.
I just feel so terrified. I have nightmares. G had apprehension about the no speed in receiver room. Well, I sleep like crap anyway. I would probably get 3 hours of sleep from the entire week 1 to week 18 if we had a guy at left tackle I wasn't sure was at least league average. And that's what scares me.
I ain't seen 5 hours of sleep in 5 years, but
actually, there might not be a panel in America who sleeps less than
oh no, this panel right here, we don't sleep at all.
Yeah, that's a whole different discussion.
But before G go, I'll say this to your point. I agree with you because if something happened to him, that's who's protecting your quarterback. But also look at it like knowing that Deshaun Watson has his hands pretty much on the entire offense, and that he has a say in a lot of the things that's going on. He's the guy that's out here working with these offensive linemen. And I'm pretty sure that if they decided to move on from the left tackle, that they'll have a conversation with the franchise quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And so me and you talked about this off the record. You know, if Deshaun Watson was to give the okay because he trusted the other guys that was next in line, I would feel a little bit better about it. But like I said, I get it. I understand it because there's an opposite side to average. You can go backwards.
And
I get it.
That's what scares the living, you know what, out of
it. Yeah, I get it.
Let's just get down to it.
I knew he was going to go there.
Let's just get down to it because I've never seen, this is what I don't like about people sometimes fans when they do this. Like, look, what are you basing your feelings on? See, there's a lot of times because there's very few people in society that understand offensive line play. There are very few people who have ever been big. There's very few people who even pay attention to what they do up front. It's just, hey, well, you know what? Did you give up a penalty or a sack? And if you don't, they think you're good. But the stats bear something different. And if you watch the All-22, Jedrick Wills consistently, if he gets beat, stands up, looks around in 3 seconds with his visor on, looking around like, who did it? If that's your man, get your guy. Not only does he not play to the whistle, he is not a great run blocker, pass blocker, or overall a grade. He does not have one. Now, I'll give you this. He was the 51st rated tackle last year. That ain't middle of the road. Did you make up middle of the road in your head? What is middle of the road? Like, I don't know. I think that's completely made up. By the way, do you know Jedrick Wills? Let's get your head on, Jed. Come on, I want to be clear. I just want to be very clear. In his career, 2020, he was a rookie. His grade was a 61.5. Everybody talking about we could get rid of Nick Chubb because Chubb, he doesn't get, is it the O-line or is it Nick Chubb? Well, let me show you your run block grade, 50.3. Come on now, where's the middle of the road? I'm looking for it. Maybe that was a bad year, rookie year. Let's go to the next year. He upgraded, whole 5 points, 66.1. Now, I don't know where you guys went. A 66 is a D, right? In all grading, all schools, wherever you at, that's public, private, that's a D. Oh, he came up, he was a 61.7 in run blocking. Hey, man, listen, he moving up. Bill Callahan doing this, working with him. He's balling. Oh, 2022, you regressed. you're a 62.9 now. You're almost an F. That is 62.9 overall, and your run blocking grade was a 55.3. You tell me, all these people around here, and this pisses me off about y'all, because y'all sit up here and do low-hanging fruit, and you talk about getting rid of Nick Chubb, got to take a pay cut, can't play a running back. Why sure as hell can't pay a top 10 tackle for 62%? Because you don't understand. Just listen, Jay-Z said it. Hey, just because you don't understand him don't mean he's bright. Just because you don't understand that he's garbage does not mean he's not garbage. So you're going to give an extension to a left tackle because he's middle of the road, and we're going to get rid of a potential Hall of Famer and your best offensive player because you ain't got no money. Well, like I said before, if you want all the money, go tell Jed Wills to give that money back, and we can keep rolling with Nick Chubb. I rest my case. Somebody tell me what's middle of the road.
Well, I mean, there was like 7 tacklers in the league that had over an 80 grade last year. So if you want to go like the 61, you got to give a little more context than just throwing out the grades. But listen, no one's saying Jed Wills is elite. He's not Joe Thomas.
61 ain't average. 61 ain't below average. 61 is atrocious.
But that's of all the tackles. So there's 64 tackles plus all the guys that played.
He's 51st.
Sorted by snaps. Listen, now it sounds like a Jed Wills defender.
Look,
I don't think he's that good.
Sorted by snaps.
I don't think he's that good. I'm just saying.
Let's find the rankings. Sorted by snaps and see.
Because like James Hudson's higher than him on the PFF
all I'm
grade,
gonna tell
but
you is
Hudson only
why he's doing that, man. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm giving Nick Chubb an extension before I give Jedrick Wills an extension. Right? I got 2 or 3 guys on that offensive line right now that can, I believe, next year, if not this year, can step in and fill the same role with the same production with less money, that Jedrick Wills did this year. I think that, I thought about what you said. I do believe Nick Chubb will get an extension. I think it will be a restructured extension, but I ultimately think he's going to get that. I do agree with
that, by the way. Yeah, I think he's going to end up restructured.
I think he's going to get that. We all know the running back market is devalued. We all know where we are with that market. But a few things that Andrew Berry said Sunday sticks out to me. He talked about he believed that Nick Chubb is a superstar. He talked about that, even though the running back market is devalued because of the way that the league is trending, you still have to look at every situation by a case-by-case scenario and then focus in on that specific player. And when I think about Nick Chubb, I always ask myself the same question. Is this dude in that rare air like Adrian Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson? And if the answer is yes, he falls into that category, then I'm giving him an extension, because it's not always about what you do on the football field. This is a young man that embodies everything that you want within your organization. When you're talking about somebody that represents the franchise, he's it. He shows up for work, he shows up on time, and he does his job. And then when he's away from the facility, you can trust him to do the things that he needs to do. And I think when you look at him as an individual, you can't just group him in with the rest of the running backs, because I think this is a special man and a special talent.
I can't believe somehow I'm becoming a Jed Wills defender, because I don't like Jed Wills and I love Nick Chubb. But I just think in the grand scheme of this is how it's going to play out. And I think at the end of the day, Chubb ends up restructuring his deal, gets 2 more with the Browns at a lower number. Ant, what's up?
Yeah, guys, I just want to remind everybody that you can keep hearing these kinds of conversations after hours on Behind the Glass with me, Mike, and Earl. We love doing it once a week. These two get into fights. I usually occasionally chime in and laugh at them. It's a good time. We had this conversation last night as well. If you want to go check it out, we do it usually on Wednesdays now. Seems to be our normal day.
Yeah,
but we'll keep you guys posted if it changes. And before we go into our next topic here, thank you for watching Behind the Glass.
We appreciate y'all. Do this real quick, but it's the next installment of our 32 and 32 series, counting down the 32 most important players for the Browns entering the 2023 season. And today's 32 and 32 player is number 30, Jack Conklin, the right tackle for the Cleveland Browns. G. Bush, you just got on a tirade about why Jed Wills is a bum. How do you feel about Jack Conklin? You like that setup? You like that setup?
Look at his face. It's all right, bro. It's going to be okay.
He's another 60s guy. These dudes was born in the civil rights era. That's your grade, 64, 60. He's another guy. I thought Jack Conklin was finished. I thought he was done. Guess not. They give him an extension, and I'm just I'm confused with this. He's been hurt 3 years while he's been here. His grades have never been in the 70s while he's been here. Now, I loved the pick when he got here. I loved him getting from the Tennessee, and I like what he can do when he's fully healthy. My thing is, offensive linemen don't just get healthy overnight, right? Once you start getting injured, it's just you're going to miss some games. And it looks like he lost some bend in his legs. Was already a lean, athletic guy. He's standing upright a lot, and he's getting injured. My thing is, if it comes down to Nick Chubb, once again, this is going to hurt them because they gave him an extension, and this guy's getting $12, $13, $14 million. And so, yeah, it looks good if it works, but if he gets hurt next year, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing at that position? And I feel like DeJuan Jones can play at that position. I feel like Herbert can play at that position. I feel like there's some guys that they got ready to go that they can play, that could be in that position. Now, this is a gamble. I think that they think that he's going to be better than what they can find on the market. And maybe they're thinking, look, we know Jedrick Wills is trash. We know that his play has been trash the last 3 years, and we not going to sign him. So we can't have 2 tackles that we trying to try out that are young. We want some sort of continuity. So, okay, good. We'll see if it works out. But for me, I just thought that was a reach. I thought it was a crazy reach.
Yo, hey. Not to cut you off, the chat said everything scares McNuggets. Barbecue sauce scares McNuggets.
I love barbecue sauce.
He did, in fact, comment everything scares me.
Speaking of stuff that scares me, have y'all seen the numbers on Jack Conklin's extension? I remember it being $80 million.
Yeah.
I don't remember the cap numbers being this. This year's cap hit, $7.8 million.
Okay.
Next year's cap hit, $13 million. The year after that, $19.5. The year after that, $20.5. They can't cut him before 2026 without taking a dead cap hit of $12 million plus.
That is.
So Jack Conklin, I was not ready to say you're the right tackle of the future, but guess what, buddy? You better stay healthy because they don't have a way to get out of your contract, which now means DeJuan Jones, if he's going to play, has a much better chance at filling in at left tackle than right tackle because you can't get out of this money.
Take a look.
I knew it was a 4-year, $80 million extension or 4-year, $60 million, but I didn't realize it was spread out that way. Andrew Berry usually does it opposite. He usually front loads it so you could get out of the contract later, but unless Spotrac has this backwards, and Spotrac's pretty damn good, his 2026, his 32-year-old season, he has a cap hit of $20 million and a dead cap hit of 10.
And look at this. He's regressed 3 straight years. When he got here in 2020, 84.3, which ranked in the top 10 of tackles at the right side.
He's a 2-time first-team All-Pro.
All-Pro. 2021, he dipped below 80. He's at 78.8. Last year in 2022, had the worst year of his career. 66.7 overall grade and a 51.8 run blocking.
Oof. Big oof.
And you give him 4 more years? That looks crazy.
Andrew Berry must think it's hard to find tackles on the open market that are better than what they have, which
maybe he can't scout them.
Or maybe they can't scout. Exactly. So
because that's the two you got right now.
Not great. I know we got to move on in 1 second, but real quick on Jack Conklin. Deshaun Watson plays a different style of quarterback than anyone he's ever blocked for.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson takes a lot of sacks because he's always trying to extend plays. That's one of the beauties of Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I am interested to see, especially on the outside with Conklin and Wills, how they handle the scramble aspect of Deshaun Watson and if they're capable. They might not be. And to answer all the questions about Jed Wills, if he's not capable of handling the scramble options and keeping his guy from getting to Watson when he's outside the pocket, then his ass is gone.
I'll say this,
Conklin,
though.
the same thing. You got last point, then we'll move on.
I'll say this. The only thing I'm worried about with Conklin, of course, is the injuries, right?
His health.
Right.
If he's healthy, I trust that he can get out there and handle his business. But if he's not, Jedrick Wills played right tackle
At Alabama.
And I think you can slide him to right tackle, and maybe he can be more productive. But that's all precedent on James Hudson taking the next step, DeJuan Jones developing into
DeJuan
who we
played right
think.
tackle at Ohio State, too.
Yeah, he
So
played
they
right
got a
tackle
lot of
there,
guys
too.
that
So it's one of those situations to where, you got some options. I like the depth. I like the fact that you got multiple guys on the offensive line that can play multiple positions. And, of course, you got Bill Callahan coaching them up.
Best
so
of the best.
it kind of keeps me confident that no matter what happens, that group would be okay.
We spent 75 minutes on the Browns. Anthony, give us one more transition. Let's talk a little Guardians.
Yeah, I just want to promo memberships one more time, guys. You can pay $4.99 to get our overtime topic, which I'm still not going to tease because even though McNuggets has definitely told me what he wants to do today, we have a new McNuggets emoji, and we're still trying to get Earl and I in there, so don't let us down. We really want to get in that, and you guys will also get text messages, updates every day, $4.99 a month, and you get discount codes to the Cleveland store for our T-shirts. So go get yourself a membership, and you can gift memberships too. I forgot to mention that last time. If you have somebody in the chat that you absolutely love, maybe even have a crush on, gift them a membership.
All right, that's a good point, Anthony. It's a great Valentine's Day present. We had some breaking news from the Guardians yesterday, though, and it's a deal that I'm frankly surprised at the backlash from. The Guardians have sent shortstop Amed Rosario to the Dodgers for Noah Syndergaard, a starting pitcher who's currently on rehab assignment and cash consideration. So they gain no money, they lose no money. Essentially, it's a player-per-player swap. Rosario to the Dodgers, Noah Syndergaard to the Guardians. Earl, we had started our Behind the Glass last night with the trade, so I want to start with G here. G, what was your initial reaction to hearing the Guardians have traded Amed Rosario to the Dodgers for Noah Syndergaard?
My thing was about time, because sometimes when I'm talking to Guardians enthusiasts, and I'm talking to the diehard Guardians, we got a bunch of them on our panel: Jay, Jason Lloyd, Bull. It's frustrating for some people, like the just the common knowledgers, right? Sometimes we like, well, look, y'all love the prospects. Y'all prospect. You can rattle them all off. Baseball of America, right? You know the rankings, know all the names. But then we never see these guys. You love them so much that you don't play them. And then you have to give them away for free. I don't get it. Then you got guys who, like Amed Rosario, who's a guy who is not a highly touted prospect. He's a guy who's a middle-of-the-road shortstop. He's a converted shortstop. And, he's serviceable, but he's not at an elite position like shortstop. He's not going to be having a tremendous glove. He doesn't have a crazy bat or stick. He's not really a guy that's going to have too much power. So he's a medium sauce guy. No one goes to BW3s and orders medium size. It's either mild or hot. Don't get medium. So at the end of the day, we sitting here looking at Rosario, and we like, okay, well, let's move on from him, right? Let's get something for him. And then they move him, get something for him,
People
which we
crazy.
knew we wasn't going to get that much for him.
Yeah,
And then, oh my.
People were crazy.
this is what I don't get.
What?
So let's go step by step.
Yeah.
3 things you need to know about Amed Rosario. 1, he was a really good hitter against lefty pitching. Against lefties, the dude could rake. What was he okay at? Hitting against righties. What was he bad at?
Fielding.
He was statistically and analytic. You can look up any metric you want. He ranked in the bottom 3 to 5 in every defensive category for a shortstop in Major League Baseball. Some of the Guardians' top young prospects, not pitchers, but like actual field prospects, are middle infielders. Gabriel Arias, Tyler Freeman, Brian Rocchio, all play shortstop or second base. And those guys could not get consistent at bats as long as Amed Rosario was manning the shortstop everyday position for the Guardians. So this trade, if does nothing else, I don't think it signals them as sellers or buyers. I just think it gives them a chance to see their younger guys play at an MLB level and get the requisite at bats they need to determine if they are going to be part of the team's future or not. This deal makes perfect sense to me. They had a gluttony of guys in the middle infield. Their 2 best starters, and 3 if you want to include Cal Quantrill, are hurt right now. You need a guy in the rotation. You get a guy in Syndergaard who at one point was electric, one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's certainly tailed off the last couple of years. He has a 7 ERA this year. But at least he's a guy you can count on to say, hey, you've pitched in a September start that's mattered before. We may have to throw you in because Bieber, McKenzie, and Quantrill are out while getting a look at the young guys. To me, the trade makes perfect sense.
I mean, to me, the trade was a wash. Like, I think I asked you the question.
Yeah, they're not better or worse by this.
They're not better or worse. You can't really call them buyers or sellers based on this move. But when you look at it, it frees up space to get a better look at some of these prospects we talk about.
You needed it.
We talk about the Guardians having 6 or 7 of the top 100 prospects, and about 3 or 4 of these guys are middle infielders. So you want to be able to see these middle infielders get the opportunity to show that they can be pros. When it comes to Amed Rosario, it's not like the dude was all that good, right? You said he was probably the worst defensive shortstop in Major League Baseball. This is a dude batting .267 with 3 home runs. So it's not like it, and he was a guy that the Guardians was not going to extend past this
That's
year.
the other thing.
We talked about ad nauseum. This was going to be one of the guys between him and Shane Bieber that were going to probably be moved before the trade deadline. He gets moved, and it's like people go crazy. What did you think you were going to get for Amed Rosario? You wasn't going to get prospects, right?
Nope.
And as far as like getting Syndergaard back, yeah, he's way past that 2016 New York Mets guy. But he's a veteran pitcher, and the one thing about a guy who you know has done it before, and then you marry that with this organization who does a great job of getting the best out of pitchers, I think it makes sense, especially when you just need an arm. You have so many
They
guys.
just need a guy to pitch.
Yeah, you have so many guys in a rotation that's either injured or has reached this quota of innings pitched that now you just need a guy that's serviceable and can fill it out. Think about this. Our top 3 guys are hurt. And then the young guys, Bybee, Allen, and Gavin Williams, they all started in the minor leagues. So that pitch clock was already it was already getting there. I mean, we had Curry, Xavier Curry.
And as the season progresses, when Syndergaard's back and healthy, there are going to be times when, especially if Cleveland's still in the playoff hunt, they're going to have to rest a guy, one of the young guys, Bybee, Allen, Williams, to save him for a playoff start. And who do you slide in there? That's where Syndergaard comes into play. I don't think this means they're total buyers. I don't think it means they're total sellers. I think this is a move that makes sense for both franchises. The Dodgers needed a bat, and Syndergaard wasn't in their starting rotation. The Guardians needed a pitcher, and Rosario wasn't significantly better than the guys who they think could fill in that spot. And both were expiring contracts.
But I got a question for both of y'all. Are they going to make a move to let us know what side of the fence that they're on? Because we still don't know what side of the fence that they're on.
You go first.
I don't listen. I think they're buyers and sellers. Like, I think they're just both. Like, to me, I think they believe that the best people in their roster are going to be their younger guys. At this point, if you ask me, would I make another move? No. What I would do is I would play my young guys, and if I play my young guys, it's an added bonus and more experience to the young guys that I could go into next year. Think about how good you feel about Gavin Williams and Bybee and Allen if, by the way, they make a playoff series and they get to start in the playoff series, right? Think about what – now, they may put them on ice. I wouldn't do it. But just think about what you can do with that. You can build off that and continue to move. For me, I'm going to see the young dudes because I don't believe there's anybody on the market that if they trade for is going to make a huge difference. They have concrete organizational problems. Like, what I mean by that is you don't have power at the power positions. You don't have superstars. Your shortstop, your center fielder, your number one ace, your left fielder, your third base. They only got one guy at third base in Jose Ramirez who is a star. You have to have stars at those main positions. They don't have them. Now, until they find them, I wouldn't be running around trading people.
So here's the crazy part, Earl. I went to bed last night saying I think the Guardians are going to end up being buyers. And not big buyers. I don't think there's anyone they can get.
You woke up saying they sellers.
Well, I woke up to the news.
Push,
I woke up to the news that the Los Angeles Angels just gave up 2 of their top 3 prospects for Lucas Giolito. 2 of their top 3. Their number 2 prospect and their number 3 prospect for Lucas Giolito. If Shane Bieber was healthy, the haul the Guardians could have got back for Shane Bieber after seeing what the White Sox got for Lucas Giolito would have been absurd. Way more than the pitcher they're actually acquiring because he just hasn't, frankly, been as good as we've been accustomed to Shane Bieber being. With that in mind, if you're getting a number 2 and a number 3 prospect in an organization, that's like a Gavin Williams type level prospect. Like, that's what we're talking about here. For Lucas Giolito, could you get a number 4 or 5 for Aaron Savali? And if you could, hell, I'm punting.
I think
at that point, give me that prospect.
You know, the other side of this that I'm going to really enjoy is, you know, with him gone, I think Oscar is going to play tonight.
And Oscar got called up. That is true.
You know, it'll be interesting to finally see him back in the lineup. Now I'm wondering if Bo Naylor will officially become the everyday starting catcher for the Guardians. So we don't know if they're buyers or sellers, but what I can look at is saying, okay, they're a 500 team. They've been a 500 team all season. They've not had some crazy losing streak, and they've not had some winning streak that, like, overly wowed you.
Nope.
This is who this team is. It's a lot of young, raw talent, and maybe they're lining themselves up to see, okay, let's just see what we have with these guys that's mostly some of our top prospects and see what we can do going forward. I would love to see them move a prospect or two to get another veteran bat in the lineup. That's probably unlikely, but I would like to see it.
They still got 3 catchers.
Well, do you count David Fry as a catcher?
Yes.
Yes.
Then yes.
Man, they just get rid of Gallagher. Listen, come on, bro. That's another roster spot, bro. Listen, we've been hearing these Rokios and Nokios and Valeris or Valera with Valerian. That's a dragon. The prospect game irks me, McNuggets. It does, bro, because we've been hearing about these same people for decades.
Well, Espino has the shoulder and the arm issue, so he's not pitching. Valera is actually swinging a much better bat. Rocchio, we're going to see now with the loss of Rosario. Chase DeLauder was their first-round pick last year. He's at Lake County right now. He's hitting the crap out of the ball. He's a guy to watch. Now, I asked Jason 2 days ago on Tuesday, and he said there's probably another year before he's ready to be in majors.
Man.
But he's a guy to keep an eye
That George
on.
Valera, that's the dude that was fighting, right?
He just came back. He's hit 2 home runs in his last 3 games. So in the outfield, that is him. And if you go to the next one, 6 through 10 on the prospect list, that's Johinski Noel, who Jason said is probably the next offensive player to be
That look
called
like
up.
my cousin Darren.
That's John. Is it Jonkowski? I'll be honest. I'd be lying to tell you I knew for
cousin look
sure how
just
to
like
pronounce his
that.
name. But that is Noel. He's a first baseman, third baseman, can play a little corner outfield.
Power hitter.
Hey, this guy right
Has
here.
more power than a lot of the guys, but I don't think he's the number 9 prospect.
He's smiling like he deboed somebody for that chain. That's my grandmama's chain. Give me that chain.
My grandma gave you that chain.
He's come up
I'm
out
gonna
of
tuck
it.
mine in. I'm gonna tuck mine in.
I say that to say I do think they have a couple pieces without giving up their top guys to go get someone. Frankly, and this is probably unpopular, I don't trust Espino. Like, you're that young, you go through that much shoulder issues and elbow issues. If you could get a bat back for your top prospect, I'd make that move. I know Jay's very against it. Jay's like, starting pitching is so valuable, you can't do it. Well, this guy was supposed to be in the majors at this point. He was on the same track as Gavin Williams, and he's not going to pitch again for a year and a half.
No.
I would be totally fine parting ways with Espino for a bat, but I'm not sure if you're going to get the same return for Espino as you would for some other prospects just because of the injury concerns and the fact he's out for at least another year.
But I be telling Jay and them all the time, like, look, bro, like everybody, there'll be 2 years before they get up here. We heard that about all 3 of these guys. Allen came up. Oh, he's raw. He doesn't have the stuff Bobby has. We think no, he's right up here. Bobby came. We were screaming for him. Gavin Williams is better. He might make it up before Bobby. Guess what? Bobby came up here. Now Gavin Williams is here. Nah, bro. Like these dudes, they got it. See, the Guardians are starting to understand. They on us a little bit. Like we on to them. Like we y'all want us to pay attention to y'all. Now we paying attention to y'all. Like, we be on them about these prospects. And guess what? If they come out and ball out with a small sample size, that's what you can get for them if you need to trade them. It's going to bring the value up. So I'm looking at these young dudes. I want to see 2, 3 of them dudes. I need to see 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think in totality, big picture here, it's a really smart move by the Guardians.
Yeah.
This opens up, if nothing else, a chance to see what you have in Rocchio, Freeman, and Arias getting consistent at-bats. And you get a veteran pitcher to help subsidize the loss of Bieber, McKenzie, and Quantrill until they're back healthy.
I just want Oscar to come back and solidify himself like he did last year, man. If Oscar can be, what he was last year or better, I think that will go a long way in helping this entire offense. I'm really excited for this game tonight. I think that, you're going to see this lineup. It'll be interesting to see,
Have they released the lineup yet?
No, they haven't.
Not yet.
I think the game is like at 8:10, so we might be getting it soon.
Game, yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see, how many hits they have, how many runs they score, how Tito kind of like puts this lineup together. And I'm excited to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing these young prospects get more opportunities. Amed Rosario was a guy that was 10 times out of 10 not going to be on the roster at the end of this year anyway, so I'm not surprised by it. We got something back. I'll take something over nothing every single time.
Yep, and we're going to go to Anthony in 1 second. It is funny tonight as we get to this series with the White Sox. You're looking at a seller versus a team we don't know. The White Sox waving the white flag. We know what they're doing now. It's up to the Guardians to progress.
3 straight series wins. Let's make it 4.
Let's do it. Ant, what's up?
Yeah, guys, I just want to remind everybody before we move on to our next topic that we are close to 25,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your family. Everybody should subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Gee, I have a question real quick. Do we get a play button for 25,000, or is that 50,000, 100,000, and a million?
For what?
For subscribers. The YouTube play buttons?
Yeah, like I think it's 25,000.
So we might be able to get our first play button.
Yeah, that's
and we
dope.
can put that up on the set. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that like if we, and then I think it's like you get 25, and then I think the biggest one is the million one, which is
we got a way to go.
That's gold.
Yeah,
We
I know
got a way
that's
to
gold.
go for $1 million.
Shout out to y'all for subscribing. Shout out to everybody, man, who's helped grow this thing. We always look forward to bringing you content. We look forward to having fun. I know sometimes you all don't agree with some of it, but hey, dog days of summer football will be here soon, but we definitely appreciate all the interaction. So go out there and tell a family member, associate, and a friend to subscribe.
People realize or don't realize sometimes, if we all agreed on everything, it'd be a boring-ass show.
Yeah.
Disagreement in the context that we do, where it's conversational.
Long as
from
like
different
we don't
perspectives,
disrespect
like-
each other, and I think that's the
Yeah.
thing that's dope. Like we're able to have healthy disagreements, right? Like sometimes like that's good for you. You just don't cross those lines of like insulting people or just being personable. Like I keep telling people, you never know who you see in person. Sometimes you're gonna have to stand on some of them words.
I
Just
even
be careful, man.
I tell people all the time in the barbershop, bro, like formulate your own opinion, bro. Go do your research. Come back with it. The only time I'm gonna get mad at somebody is like if you don't do the research and you just repeating what other people say.
Yeah.
Like if we disagree on some stuff that you brought up and your numbers say one thing and I'm like, well, I like these set of numbers, and we debate, that's all good. We can have a sparring conversation. That's the best part about sports talk.
Yeah.
That's where I got in it for. But I just don't like when people just be like, yeah, I'm going to just say the old stuff that you've heard thousands of times. And that even comes to me. I love when my people say, G. Bush, you out of line. I love when G. Bush be like, you tripping. I'm like, I'll come back and be like, yeah, I was tripping, dog.
And Donovan Mitchell still had one of the best seasons in Cavs history.
Speaking of the Cavs, that's a great transition. ESPN released its official post, and I hate the way they worded this. It is their post-off-season 1.0 power rankings for the upcoming season.
Yeah, that was wordy.
It's wordy. It doesn't sound right. And based on the way they phrased it, I very much disagree with their rankings. The Cavs came in at number 9 on their post-off-season one. It's just hard to say.
Yeah.
Power rankings. Steve, we could pull up the rankings 1 through 5. We'll run through, show you guys where the Cavs ranked. The Denver Nuggets, the defending champions, came in at number 1. Milwaukee, I think I could rattle this off my head if we don't have the graphic ready, but it was Denver, Milwaukee, Boston, Lakers were 4, and then Miami was 5. And I'm not quite sure how they have Miami at 5 here when they've lost a couple guys in free agency and haven't got Dame Lillard yet. It's different if they have Dame Lillard in the equation. The Cavs came in at number 9.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, Phoenix was number 4, excuse me. Miami at number 5. So Denver, Milwaukee, Boston, Phoenix. I got 4 of the 5, right? That's not bad from memory. And let's see 6 through 10 here. I know you have the Lakers in here at some point, Philadelphia, Golden State. There's Cleveland at number 9. I put your boy Amani Bates in the picture on purpose. At number 10 for Memphis, because I put Jokic with the ring at number 1.
Big Monty, I told you.
Big Monty.
Big Monty Bates.
Can I start with this one real quick?
Yeah.
I actually do. This is all irrelevant, and who cares about power rankings before the season starts? I actually do have a little bit of beef with how ESPN did this, and if that's how they're going to do it, how they rank it. We'll start with Miami. That was an 8 seed last year. Granted, they made the finals. They lost Max Strus, starter. They lost Gabe Vincent, maybe their second best player.
Kyle Lowry's gone, right?
Kyle Lowry's still there.
He's still there?
He's an expiring contract, but he's a year older. Jimmy Butler's a year older. They've brought in nobody yet because they're trying to do all their stuff
With
for
Dame.
Dame Lillard. And you have Tyler Hero, who's taking the Miami Heat out of his Instagram bio, so you have a pissed-off secondary superstar. How do you put them above a team like Cleveland, who at least added, and not just added, they took one of your guys and added them to them? Like, I get if this is a projection of where they'll be with Dame Lillard, but Dame Lillard ain't there yet. And then also Philadelphia fired their coach, lost some depth. They've brought in nobody, and James Harden wants out. So within that same premise, you can't criticize them or knock them for not having James Harden because they still do. But those two things, if you're going to rank them 5-6, you totally different criteria for the two. The Cavs got to be at least third in the East. I truly believe the Cavs got to be third in the East.
Random thought. I always get tickled when I hear about somebody unfollowing somebody or taking them out their bio.
It's so petty.
It's so petty. Like you used to women doing that after a breakup or something like that. So when I be hearing about that dude unfollowed them, I be like, what?
Who cares?
It take a lot for me to unfollow somebody or block somebody. Like that's just a whole nother level.
Man,
I'm just showing that you got
I get it.
That's pissed off.
That's a whole nother level of hurt, boy.
You know how many girls I would have to block if I was a hater?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not blocking you. You need to see how I'm winning. I'm up 10. You losing by 20. I need to keep you around so you can always be like, damn, he keeps showing up on this timeline. I don't like it.
I'll just look at the grand scheme of the NBA, and I think you have to have Milwaukee and Boston as 1 and 2 in the East in whatever order you want.
And you think Cleveland is third?
I think right now Cleveland's third.
You know why they did that? You know why they did that?
Just clicks. I know it's all about clicks.
They did it. They did it because
You're trying to piss me off.
When Jared Allen said maybe the lights is too bright, to them they like, oh, you just proved you little brother. So they put.
But they got them ahead of the Knicks.
Let's be honest. Everybody sitting up here right now, right? As soon as this topic came up and I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, I still got that. I am still bothered by what he said. I'm not going to sit up here and lie and say I'm not, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he said the lights was too bright, the fact that I've physically watched my team like run and hide and didn't show up and square up and fight, that's really disturbing. So I can look at the 9th place ranking and be like, okay, well, the Cavs should be higher, but they kind of earned that 9th place ranking. If I'm being all the way honest with you.
All right, so here's where you're.
And maybe it's the emotions, man.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm not call you a hypocrite, but I'm gonna say if you're gonna use that logic, you can't use the same logic when you're projecting DeJuan Jones to be the starting left tackle next year. We haven't seen crap.
How?
He ain't done nothing yet.
How?
He ain't done nothing.
He ain't done nothing, but I seen them run and hide.
These is veterans, though.
They ran and hide. They were scared to fight. They didn't.
So
they didn't want no work. They didn't want no smoke.
So you're saying you need to see them do it before you be like, oh, they could actually be put higher.
This is my thing when it comes to the Cavs. I think the Cavs is a very, very talented basketball team, right? I just question this. I don't think this is something that you can work on over the summer.
I agree.
Like if you a sucker, you a sucker. if you really about that life, you really about that life. If you somebody if you're an alpha, you're an alpha.
Oh yeah.
You just don't go to bed and wake up with this newfound heart that you never had. And guess what? If you're trying to go out there and be fake and put it on display, you're gonna get exposed really quick.
And that's why you need in the NBA. That's why, to me, there's a lot of dudes that suckers in the NBA.
There's a few killers.
Just a couple.
A lot of pretend killers.
It's a lot. So why you think Draymond Green runs around and bullies people, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that Draymond Green didn't worry about no repercussions. Like you punched that dude, you punched a teammate in the mouth, bro. You just knocked him smooth out. You put him to sleep, and then got the nerve to talking about I'm a team leader. You know what I did? I'm not a tough guy, but I catch him in the mall with his wife and kids and beat the brakes off of him. I'm hitting him with trash cans and everything, and I need McNuggets to put it on film. I'm going to make an example out of you, Draymond, that I don't play fair. He would have had to get his get back, but you're not going to knock me out in front of national TV and have my whole family. I come home, my wife looking at me, talk about, hey, go clean them dishes before I put hands.
He did nothing. He did nothing, and then every time he get asked about Draymond, he just kind of like turn his lips up. Like, no, you can't. You cannot do that. A man got look. You seen The Wire, right?
Right.
You heard what Omar said, man. A man gotta have a code. You gotta have a code, man.
Do you know who's most at fault at that whole incident? Whoever leaked that damn video from inside the Warriors organization. I'm serious. I blame that person more for the complete, I don't want to say complete collapse, but the demise of the Warriors than anything that actually happened. That is and real quick, you guys know my boy works in the video.
Yeah.
That is the one thing that you cannot do. Like, and I don't even know if they've ever found out who actually leaked that video. And he definitely got at least $500,000 to $1 million from TMZ for giving it to him. And we talked about earlier about dudes getting your money.
He got his money and got out.
He got his money and got out of there.
That's the wrong way to get, like.
It is.
That is, I remember having a conversation with Eli, and I know I'm getting way off track here, but, like, that is breaking every code of ethics that has ever been established in a basketball locker room. Like, gee, I'm sure you saw fights in the locker room.
Oh, man, what do you mean? I saw coaches fight each other.
We had
Coaches fight each
My
other.
boy Ed used to throw punches. If we went 3 practices with Ed throwing a punch at somebody, we were like,
Hey,
is Ed on drugs? Like,
It's just
it
part of the
happens.
deal. It's part
but
of
for it to
it.
get out, like that was the worst part of the whole situation.
Yeah, because I mean, he already was.
It's
not,
already awkward.
He's already not the alpha male in that situation.
Yeah.
He already know how this is, and then that gets out, and it's like we all knew it. There's no way in hell he can play for the Warriors next year.
It was done.
It's just not gonna happen.
Steve Kerr said it like that. I can't lie. That messed us up a little bit. And so when you look at the Cavs and they rate 10th, they look at the roster and they say, okay, it's a hostile environment. The refs ain't giving you no calls. You need a stop and a score, and it's tight and it's in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. They don't respect nobody. They say, is Jared Allen going to get the rebound? I would say no. Is Darius Garland going to be able to finish under the basket? He slide a frame, or they going to take the ball from him? They probably say yes. Is Karis LeVert hitting that shot? Probably not. Donovan Mitchell, he hasn't shown me nothing. Every time he played Jalen Brunson hit his shots, he don't hit his. So guess what? I got to see it. And that's why I was telling these dudes, and I hate to go here. See, I played ball. I played basketball for the number one all-time winningest team games in basketball history in the state of Ohio, the Canton McKinley. Let me tell you something, bro. When you look at it and they talk about Imani Bates, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all.
Big money.
You need somebody that be like, I don't care. I'm about to get these buckets off. Like I ain't scared to shoot. I ain't scared to pull up, and I ain't scared to tell you I just hit that shot in your face. The Cavs need different types of people on their roster because that good guy role, that citizenship, that merit role, merit badge, Boy Scout stuff, that don't be working in the playoffs, bro. Yeah. That don't work. I like your afro, but that ain't going. You need to play like Black Power. You need to be one of the Black Panthers. I need you.
Real quick before we move on to the last thing, do you think being 5th in the East, 9th overall, fair, too high, too low for the Cavs at this point?
I think it's fair at this particular point, and I think that, again, talented team. I just want to know if you got the heart. That I don't have no fancy.
And we can't prove that until
I don't have no fancy analysis for it of anything like that. I'm still disappointed in how they performed in the playoffs. For me, I know the talent is there.
You got the shooters.
Talent is half the battle. Do you got the heart?
Can anything in the regular season change your opinion? Or
yes.
do you have to see them in the postseason
No, I
actually
know.
show it?
The regular season count. I was a discount. So when I say that, I'm just saying that to say, like, a lot of people try to automatically dismiss it. Mm-hmm. The regular season helps you prepare for the playoffs.
Right.
So absolutely, there's things that I can see in the regular season that could change the narrative. There's going to be times this season that the Cavs are tested.
Yep.
And how they show up, that it'll tell a lot.
Work on your game.
And last thing, I'm giving you a homework assignment.
Okay.
I need you to go back and watch Mike Dunleavy Jr., the new Warriors GM, his press conference where he said Jordan Poole is going to be a long part of this team, and we can't wait to have him here, finish his career in Golden State. And tell me if his body language told him he was going to trade him in 3 days. Because I know you're the body language expert. So I need you to go back, watch that press conference, and see what happened. Anthony.
Yeah, guys, before we get into our brand new segment, I just want to remind you that you can all see Behind the Glass pretty much every Wednesday night now at 7. It's me, Mike, and Earl. What you laughing at?
Because I look behind the glass.
Earl, why are you interrupting my teases? Come on, man.
Name.
You're a professional. But me, Mike, and Earl love doing it, and you can kind of see this stuff where we get to talk about how we put the shows together and our own ideas on the topics that we put in the shows. And before we move on to our next topic, thanks for watching Behind the Glass. Mike, do you want to set this next thing up?
I do. You guys ready for this topic?
Yeah.
It's called Let's Rank Shit. Anthony, it's simple. 3 things, let's rank them.
Am I included in this?
Yeah, you can play along.
All right, cool.
We have 11 of them, so we're going to run through them pretty quick.
Okay.
But this topic is very complicated.
It's
called Let's Rank Shit. Let's do it. Whenever you're ready. Number 1, rank them.
What are we basing that off of? Last year?
However you want. Anthony, you put Let's Rank stuff as the topic. It's Let's Rank Shit.
I don't want to lose my job over your idea.
I'm going Deshaun, Lamar, Jalen.
I'm going Jalen, Lamar, Deshaun.
I'm going Jalen, Deshaun, Lamar. Jalen just took him to the Super Bowl.
I don't believe him. He need more people. Give me, listen, the way man, I ain't gonna hold you, man. I got my man for 4,800 yards and 50 touchdowns. You know what it is. Give me Watson. Then I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts, then Lamar Jackson. Stop playing with me, bro.
What you laughing at, Earl?
I'm laughing at it because the number changes every day.
It might be 5,200 tomorrow, bro. All depending on what outfit he got on.
That show Friday before they play their first game. Oh man, G-Go, you know what? 9,232 yards, 73 touchdowns.
He might throw for 4 on the Bengals. I'm just waiting for it because I told you I'm ready to be petty. I'm ready to be petty. Like, don't follow me on Twitter. Do not come in here. I'm gonna wear a Cincinnati Bengals helmet and Photoshop sticker, foam finger, and I'm gonna be right next to Bull. I can't breathe. Oh my God, I can't breathe. We found it.
We actually should poison Bull and make him throw up again after we do that.
I'm telling you,
what the hell is going on?
He
It's
might
weird.
not
My
show.
watch
Listen,
just started
he
ringing,
might
and I think it's
if the
HR
Browns
calling me.
win that game.
Bull ain't coming to work.
He not coming.
Bull
I'm
not
telling
coming
you.
to work.
Bull has to be here.
No.
I will pick his ass up from Rocky River and drive his ass up if I have to. Anthony, what's our second on the list?
All right, so our
rank
next
shit
one
list?
is going to be Reese's, Twix, and M&M's. This one's easy. M&M's top tier, especially peanut M&M's.
What?
What? That's
you
no,
crazy?
Anthony's done.
Reese's is going
Anthony's
second.
not
Twix is
ranking.
going last.
Oh my
Anthony's
God,
done
what's wrong with you?
M&M's is the candy. You be like, what do you want?
M&M's is a song by Migos.
I will
Ain't
die on
nothing
this
left
hill.
but
It goes
M&M's.
in order for me. Reese's, Twix, M&M's.
There it is.
Reese's is overrated. I will die on
And
the
if they got the peanut butter Twix, they might go over the Reese's. Now, I got to say more, the Reese's, Twix, M&M's.
I got a Reese's M&M's Twix.
Well, the fact that Anthony put M&M's first, Anthony, you have to sit out the next one. You're out for at least one. I'm suspending you from one ranking. All right,
Understandable.
Number 3.
I'm going LaMelo Ball, Darius Garland, Trae Young.
I actually think Darius Garland,
I put Garland
Trae
one,
Young,
too.
LaMelo.
So you know we're talking about players you just don't like for whatever reason.
You don't like? He don't like Trae Young.
I can't. It's the way he. I just don't think the way he plays basketball translates to winning. I have like a philosophical difference in how winning basketball is played and how Trae Young plays. So I put Trae third. I put LaMelo second. I think Darius Garland's gonna have a monster year. Like, I don't know if he can win Breakout Player of the Year because he's already been an All-Star, or not Breakout, Most Improved Player. I think he's gonna have a monster season.
His offensive game is way better than LaMelo's though.
I think he averaged 21 and 8 last year.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm being serious, with the addition of shooters, I think Mitchell's going to give him a little more offensive, firepower or pull back on the rein. I think Garland's going to average like 24 and 9 this year and be one of the top 4 or 5 points. I am buying all the. If anyone wants to sell me their Darius Garland stock, I will buy it for 1.75%.
He better cut.
I hope that's the case. I'm not going to sit up here and try to have no.
I need him on protein shakes. I need him bigger. I need him faster. I need him more deadly, more serious. I need all that.
I'm in. I'm taking all the Darius Garland stock. I think he's going to be a top 20 player in the NBA next season. All right, Ant, what's our next one?
All right, so the next one is pizza, wings, and burgers. And Director Steve put it as pizza, burger, wings, which is just wrong. Wings are at the top.
Wings
Director Steve you had wings third, Steve?
He had wings last. He said he
Yeah,
hates
wings last.
He said he hates wings?
I can't sit back here anymore, guys.
I
You
didn't
said you hate wings?
For what?
Yeah,
Oh,
what did a
wow.
wing ever do to you?
For wings, it's a lot of work for just a little bit of chicken. So I'd rather have a chicken breast than a wing.
I can't believe I have to sit next to him.
He said work.
He said, yeah, what? Steve, what are you doing? You carving out like sculptures in a chicken wing? You just eat it.
He doesn't want to eat the skin. is what
That's
he said.
That's the best
the best part.
Man.
Hey,
Are we all agreeing that wings are at the top here?
Will you write down worst take of the year and that time code. Let's make sure that's nomination for worst take of this.
Man, that's
second year
low
of the
key.
show.
Hey, Steve, that's a suspendable offense,
Yeah.
man.
Steve, aren't you taking vacations soon?
like Steve, you looking at 3 to 5 days, man.
Not director
Guys,
Steve.
I don't know how to work VMix just quite yet. We got to keep him around for a little bit.
You looking at 3 to 5 hours, Steve.
Now listen, in Steve's head, he's like, you fools. 2 of y'all up there in that panel got high blood pressure now for eating all that skin. You better take you a pill with that. It's wrong with you today.
I go wings, pizza, burgers. Wings, pizza, burgers.
I go
with you,
wings,
Nuggets.
burgers, pizza.
I'm definitely biased being from New Jersey and New York and having a lot of really good
Here's
pizza growing up.
it goes wings because you could do so much. Wings, pizza, burgers.
And what do you think? And what does the chat say more important?
Yeah, so the chat real quick, let me see here. It's looking like pizza and wings are obviously the top 2. They're with us. I got a couple for pizza being at the top, a couple of pizza being in the middle. Nobody's putting burgers at the top. We got I with pizza, burger, wings, just like Steve, you're banned. Sorry. And yeah, that's our chat.
Hey, somebody said Master Pizza. I've had Master Pizza. Master Pizza is really, really good.
Where's that at?
It's like 3 or 4 locations. Hey, Master Pizza, y'all see this, man? Give UCSS a call. Seriously.
I will. Yeah, yeah. We love
Seriously.
pizza. We love pizza. And we got a bunch more. Chime in with some chat comments on some of these as well. Let's
Yeah,
get-
we'll
let's get
do.
the chat
We got
going.
all of our little commercial breaks out of the way. So this next one is football, basketball, and baseball.
We already know what it is. Nobody even got to say nothing.
In order.
In that order.
Yeah, that's it.
In that order.
I think personally would put basketball a little bit above football, but that's just a
Now,
personal preference.
this is the new age. All y'all old cats at the house right now are on a vacation. The baseball's not at the top. It's just not. Y'all can tell me about the pitch clock all you want, and I love baseball. I played it since I was 6 years old, and some arguably would say that was my best sport. I should have kept playing it. But at the end of the day, nobody who is going to rule the world in the next 40 years believes you guys. It's not baseball.
Old Ben put baseball, football, golf. That's
That wasn't even on the list.
yeah,
man.
that's just out of pocket.
We're not ranking
Yeah.
everything. We're just ranking the shits on the screen.
You
We
did-
love
you
you,
did-
we
you
love
did
you,
just-
Ben.
you did just throw an old extra one in there.
Yeah.
How's about golf? What about billiards? Volleyball? I
Shout out to
didn't know
Calder.
that was on the docket for today.
All right,
what's up
guys. So the
Dan?
next one: Steelers, Ravens, Bengals.
I put this one in just for you guys. And I didn't even
So-
tell you how you have to rank them. This could be on.
I'll keep it a buck. I'll go Bengals at
Wait.
the top because that's little brother.
But what are you ranking them on? Like how you like them or how much you hate them?
Well, I hate all of them, so I'm gonna say I hate the Bengals the least.
Okay. I was
That's
making sure we're all ranking the
Nobody
same
really
way.
hates their little brother for real. Like the Ravens they used to be us, so whatever. But like I really really hate the Steelers.
Steelers.
Like look at me. I really hate the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I believe you.
Like,
I've never seen you wear yellow.
And what's crazy is that's the reason I don't. Like, I like hats. You see, I wear different hats. I don't get down with the whole PA, Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers. No, man, I don't remember. I've seen pictures of me as a baby. I was born in 87, and I'm sitting on my grandfather's lap during the AFC Championship game in January of 88. So, like, no, I was born into this, man. I can't stand the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Gee.
Back in '88, when I was selling weight, you was a ballerina. I got to never mind. Let's keep it moving.
Wait a minute, G.
Yeah, real quick.
Wait a
Steve just
minute.
said-
Hey, this is easy because there's a lot of people that want to be fake Steelers fans. I don't even wear those colors. I don't like Wiz Khalifa's black and yellow. I don't like. I don't even play with Pittsburgh Steelers on Madden. Have never touched them on the sticks. They don't exist. So I don't. Pittsburgh's one. I don't like the Ravens either. I really don't like the fact that they just left Cleveland and got a Super Bowl and they think they cool. I don't like them. I don't like their coach Harbaugh, and I don't like when people come on trying to praise them. We're not gonna do. I'm gonna get them right together. Hey, Didi, where you at? Hey,
So-
Didi, we're not talking about Harbaugh.
You know what hurts so much about that before we move on?
We're not talking about Harbaugh.
And of course, people gonna fact check it, but my grandfather told me this. You know, that year that they moved, they had 2 picks. I think they had the 26th pick and the 3rd pick. They took Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis. What if, Anthony?
Yeah, that's a
What
win.
if?
Yeah, hey, so a lot of the chat's just refusing to participate in this, and Bengals are at the top. But Director Steve said if we're ranking shit, Steelers have to be number 1. So Good
Yeah.
joke there by
Yeah.
Director Steve.
I
Steve,
like
we want to take the next one here?
I think the next one's a spicy one. Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Is there Friday football?
Is this a football or just your
No,
favorite
just-
day?
No, I just
Favorite
put Sunday
day.
Night Football because I need something to put
I
in the
work
graphic
7
roll.
days a week.
Favorite day, yeah. So, how would you rank it?
I'm lying, child support. I'm lying. I was making that up. I ain't mean that for real.
I'm an independent contractor. Sometimes my schedule a little heavier.
If I had to rank them, Sunday is like the most relaxing day. So I would go Sunday, Saturday, Friday. Friday is last because no matter what, I got to get up and be at the station at 4:30 for this guy. So
I gotta come show up too. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
I go Saturday, Sunday, Friday. Like, take out football, a fun Sunday fun day. Like nice weather, a summer Sunday fun day.
I like.
You know, down at the beach by the pool, got a couple cold ones in you.
I would see Saturday after my radio show. That's when the weekend starts for me. So like if I'm Sunday, I can go back home and watch some of the college football games. Give me an SEC game. You know what I'm saying? First the Big Ten, then I'm gonna catch me the SEC game. Then I'm gonna switch over to 5, and then I'm gonna watch. Pac. So that's a good day for me. And then that day, since I work all the time, I try to stay up as long as possible. So I'm gonna go with that.
Real quick, and we'll move on in a sec. If you're going out in Cleveland, people don't go out on Fridays.
no,
Like
Saturday.
it's a Saturday city.
Saturday night
and
is-
that's a
yeah.
weird thing for more. You know.
You turn up all night on a
Yeah.
Saturday.
That's
Friday's recovery day. Like you sleep for the night and then you go crazy Saturday.
that's what I learned. I did not know that when I moved here. All right, we got 4 more. You said.
They said
Yeah, we got 4 more.
All right.
Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, or Bill Russell?
To me, it's in that order, just
I
on the
agree.
strength. Like, you know, Shaq is the most dominant player I've ever seen play. I remember Hakeem vividly. I never seen Bill Russell play. That's the only reason. It's like that for me.
G.
I told you about people named Bob and Bill. I told you about that. They can't be the top of the game. Shaq is easy. Go back and watch Shaq. I was in the time machine on YouTube about 3 weeks ago, and he was doing stuff that was just disrespectful, tearing down your whole infrastructure.
Shaq, when he wanted to be, was the single most dominant basketball player I've ever seen. The only person that could stop Shaq when he was in that peak form was the free throw line
Right.
and Shaq himself for not finishing and
Couldn't
ones.
agree
But
with you.
he literally was unstoppable. I would go Shaq, Hakeem. And for me, it's so hard to rank Bill Russell in any of these because, A, I didn't see him play. I was negative like 40 years old. And then, 2, he's playing against a bunch of plumbers. So, and it's not to knock him. He obviously 11 championships, unbelievable player, deserves to be ranked. I just
No, I mean, we agree.
I have a hard
like,
time
it's,
ranking
it's,
them. Yeah. All right, and we got 3 more. Let's run through them.
All right, we got oceans, lakes, or rivers. I don't really like
Yo,
water that
I'ma
much.
be honest
Swimming
with
pools
you.
was my number 1.
I'm a black man that can't swim. You ain't about to catch me in none of them.
NA.
And none of them.
Not applicable.
It's sharks in the ocean. Like, I can't swim in nothing, man. No, none of them.
I
We had this
don't.
whole conversation on sharks
I,
yesterday.
river monsters.
None
I don't
of
like.
them.
It's salty water.
No, I'm cool.
Y'all
I'm
crazy.
straight, bro.
Y'all
I'm cool.
crazy.
I'm at the house, man.
It goes
Nice
ocean,
indoor pool.
Oceans, lakes, rivers. That's easy. Easiest one yet.
Oceans,
All right,
you can
next
die
one.
quicker.
Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, or Jim Brown?
Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton.
I agree.
Yep.
All right, 2 more.
Easy. See, let's go on to the next one. I don't remember. Planes, trains, and automobiles, and this is actually the last one.
Oh, last one.
Hey, that's
Trains don't really exist no more.
I took a train to Chicago, and it was the worst experience of my life. So
I
trains
I've
are
taken a
last.
couple trains in Europe.
I would never buy a private jet because if I'm gonna die, somebody got to be with me to comfort me. I'm not just gonna die on my own private jet. Like that's just me and the pilot and a couple people. I need to be like, well, I went. The whole 747 was there too. Like everybody, it was the lady back in the back with the kid. So you know, it's meant to be. But
So
automobiles.
I started flying for real probably like within the last 5 years. And I used to be afraid. The moment I stepped on a plane, it was a wrap. And I'm also a dude who really don't have much patience. I will book it. I would fly to Columbus before I drive to Columbus.
yeah, people,
I would go plane, automobile. I ain't getting on no train either. You see derailed.
It's definitely planes first. I'm all about efficiency. Get from point A to point B as
Yeah,
quickly as
that's what
possible.
I'm saying.
Planes, you don't have traffic on the train, And traffic in cars, I think, is the biggest knock, but I just think cars are way cooler than trains.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
I know you got to take trains sometimes. Public transportation, it is
I'm
what it is.
not big on the whole being stuck in traffic,
That's the
things like
worst.
that. Like, and
It's
I
the
get
worst.
it. Like, people think I'm joking. I will book a flight in state if I can get there within an hour.
Yeah.
That's just how I am.
traffic-
I would
It's
take a
absolute
train as someone who is dating somebody that lives in Columbus. I would have like a fast speed train between the cities would be so much nicer. I would
What did
never
he
drive
say
there
about
again.
trains?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
A fast speed train? Is that what?
G, you're terrible. G, you're terrible.
What?
Yeah.
You're terrible. All right, we got overtime.
Yeah, overtime's up next. Hey, we got Sean Porter on tomorrow and Bulls back tomorrow.
I'm out. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Chicka, chicka, chicka.